What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to the show. Welcome to This Week in Wrestling. There's a lot to talk about this week. We're going to talk about the Saudi Arabia thing, issue, whatever, if you want to call it that. A former WWE superstar is going to become a producer for the show. We're going to talk about what happened on Raw, SmackDown, which was one of the best shows. I'm going to say this right now. It's one of the best shows I think I've ever seen as far as the SmackDown show. We're going to talk about AEW, NXT, and Ronnie is finally here, so we can actually talk about Impact and Gina if there's any New Japan news, and also NWA Power, which I have watched and I enjoy. So we're going to talk about that stuff and much, much more. With me tonight, I have, of course, Heather, Trek. Why we keep having him on the show. We have Bobbit. Just kidding, man. Basement, Dory, and Gina, and Ronnie. How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, whatever. Just keep using my tagline. It's all right. I just did. I know they kept the ball chin thing. It's just like, God damn, man. Stop with the ball chin thing. You know what I mean?
Smell my balls.
So, that being said.
You creepy son of a bitch.
That being said, let's get into it.
Okay.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about, I seen it today. Gina seen it. I actually seen it before Gina did. Gina put it in the chat. Lance Storm tweeted out himself that once he is done with SWA, and I'm assuming that is promotion, he will be returning to WWE as a producer. I'm okay with it. He's one of the great performers. He's not very good at promos. He can produce a match. Let's put it that way. As far as talk. I don't know if I would keep him away from promos. But as far as talking, or as far as wrestling goes, it's a very good worker. Very good worker. Probably one of the best that Canada has to offer. That's where he came from. Thoughts?
I think he's a good addition for producing, just like you. I mean, it's definitely not going to be a net negative adding him, no matter what. No. It can only be a positive, especially if they only use him for the help within the ring.
Well, and I'm sorry, Basement. I was just going to say, like, he really didn't specify whether he was going to be going to Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. And I think that he would be most utilized in NXT, to be quite honest, just simply because.
I'm going to say this. I get what you're saying. But don't you think Raw and SmackDown need a little more help than fucking an NXT does?
No,
right now?
I completely agree. I completely agree on that aspect. But I'm thinking more along the lines of like being able to train talent, because he has that's what he's done for years, is train new talent. So like I think that NXT would be a great place for him. But in the same sense, the Raw and SmackDown definitely needs him.
He's good. I don't think he's going there to be a trainer. He said producer. So
producer. But I mean, WWE, those old veteran guys. They do.
They change hats multiple times.
Yeah, they're a jack of all trades.
It saves money. Yeah. But I would much rather him be either on Raw or SmackDown. it makes more sense to me.
Just for the upcoming couple of years, I say, just to get them back on their feet and get them back to what they gave us on Friday night every week.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
And the SWA is actually his wrestling academy. It's
Okay.
It's Storm Wrestling Academy.
Okay.
So that's
Like,
actually
fuck it, I'm done.
school.
He's closing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the like wrestling schools are in the United States at least are closing down just simply because you have places like NXT and the LA Dojo and other
Is
places like that.
Is Booker
Yeah,
T
this
still
is
running
in
his school?
Calgary. Yeah, this is the one he has in Calgary.
Oh, okay.
Is Booker T still running his? Yeah, he runs
Yeah.
a promotion.
Oh,
Out of
okay.
Houston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if it was like a step that WWE might have said, like, listen, you can't do both. But I know Booker T, again, he's still doing his. So.
No, that they don't do that to
When it
them.
comes to their personal business, they
They
sit
can't.
there and do what you can, but make sure there's time
They
for
they
us.
do say that, and he's not there all the time.
Did he?
Mhm.
They do say, I mean, you can do what you want, and that's a door in for Booker T to
Yeah,
say,
his
hey,
students.
I got this kid here that you might like. I don't mind it. I don't mind. So, but that promotion gets a leg up. Like Evolve, I think he has something to do with Evolve too. Not sure. I don't know. Yeah.
Again,
Lance-
it is a shame though that he's going to close his school because Lance Storm has trained some amazing wrestlers. So that seems a kind of a shame if they don't use him in that kind of capacity.
let's keep in mind he trained some amazing wrestlers. When it came to talking, not so much.
Right. At the beginning of this year, he was also a producer with Impact.
Yeah, that tells you.
Oh God.
Well, Impact. Some of the matches that he was producing were pretty.
Yeah, he worked mainly at that time because I remember he was that guest referee when they had Johnny Impact and Brian Cage. But he worked with a lot of the main roster talent there. But I do recall that at the beginning of this year.
Sorry, I thought JP was just about ready to barf.
No, no.
I seen it, but I was like, oh my God, please don't.
I burped. Okay, I just didn't want everybody to hear it.
Well,
Too much semen.
now they know.
Now you ruined it. But
Sorry.
Trek, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I don't mind it. I've always been a fan of Lance Storm ever since he was in ECW and I saw him there. I thought he was a good performer. And I mean, like we say, he's not the greatest at promos, but I mean, he's very good.
He's
performer.
not the greatest at promos. He sucked at promos.
His gimmick was a bad promo.
He's the epitome. He's the epitome of a bad promo.
Yeah,
I will say
but
this: Roman Reigns was better than him. Go ahead.
But yeah, then it makes total sense of him saying that he was going to shut down his school and stuff like that. And as for other schools, I think Glenn Jacobs and Bruce Pritchard just opened one up recently, and they're still going. So
Tyler Breeze and Fandango opened up a school as well. And Seth Rollins had
what
his
is
own
it?
school.
The
Yes.
fucking School of Dance?
Strip Academy.
It could be.
Even
So-
Dark Order has a school out here in Ottawa, actually, now.
Right. So,
They should be in school. So shitty to have.
but I think it's a good hire for WWE. He's one of the great performers.
yeah,
I think he can bring a lot to the table. So we had Crown Jewel. Let's talk about that real quick.
Fucking love it.
Oh God.
Well, now I'm gonna talk about what happened. We'll talk about the matches as they happen, okay? Later. Apparently, and
What is that?
Fuck. Someone's turning into a fucking jet.
Ronnie, are you vacuuming?
No.
What is happening?
Ronnie, are you back? Yeah.
So apparently some superstars got held back in Saudi Arabia, a lot of speculation as to what was going on. I don't know what
Hostage
happened.
situation.
I would much rather wait. We may never find out what really happened, why they were being held, unless somebody does a fucking Dean Ambrose and just whatever.
Natalia took off her T-shirt, and they had to hold them back.
Yeah, that probably was the reason. But here's my thing. I have come to find out, me and Heather were reading, and Gina was doing some reading. Apparently, WWE has not been paid for the last 2 times they've been over there. I don't know if this had anything to do with that, or if this is now, because I honestly, if WWE doesn't get paid, I think they should be able to back out.
Well, my question is
This may be their out. Go ahead.
Well, that's a breach of contract.
Yep.
Exactly.
How the fuck does this contract work? Is it like we're going to pay $1 billion over X number of years?
Yes.
But if you're paying per years, you're not paying per show, because don't they do 2 shows per year?
Yeah.
No, they're basically supposed to be paying per show.
I think it's per show.
Well, that's a lot of money for WWE to be putting out for things like pyro and like
Oh, it's
getting everybody
ridiculous
over there.
expense.
Well, yeah, and just like flying. What was it like? Well, there was 179 people left, and that was after 2 charter planes took all like Vince and all them guys off. So
Yeah, it's production crew
about
and stuff,
200
too.
people. You know, you fly about 200 people over there, and then you have about, what are they over there usually? About almost a week.
Well,
that
how
they-
long
they
do you go
usually
on good
spend
faith?
over there, you know. So then you're talking about accommodations and travel expenses, security. It adds up like a lot,
The question is,
especially
how
when
long
you're
do you
talking
go
200
on?
people. Sorry, basement.
How long do you go on good faith before like you have to walk away from a potential $1 billion deal? Because it's been like how long do you go without being paid for shows before you're like, it seems like we're never going to get paid for shows.
Mhm.
Like walking away after 2 shows off $1 billion deal, is it? Does
Well,
it
you would
make
think they would
sense? I
ask
don't know.
for. You think they would ask for money up front to be like, okay, well, if you want us to have pyrotechnics, you want us to have fireworks, you want us to have
Well,
all this stuff, like you'd think that they would have to put some money down for them to be able to.
from what I understand, the prince is actually the one that takes care of the pyro.
Yes.
Well, because I'm sure they have to have it bought and purchased there. Like WWE is not fucking importing that shit.
Yeah, you can't
Right.
afford it.
But I mean, like, it depends on how long they want to go without this. I feel like at this point, if it's been 2 shows and you're not getting paid, nothing's scheduled for Saudi Arabia until we get a paycheck for the first 2 shows, or the last 2 shows we did.
Yep, and I
Mhm.
agree. And if they don't, then it becomes
Then again, like as you guys said, like we don't know what the contract stipulates, right? The contract might be like that they have free will to pay it whenever they want. Like we don't know what the contract is.
Would
Oh
be a
no,
terrible-
it would
Vince
never
would
be
never
anything
sign
like
a
9
that.
years of
Vince
shows.
isn't dumb enough to fucking sign a contract.
No, if anything, it would be like you got to pay at least once a year or something like that. You know, like.
But technically, they've done 2 shows within the last year, but it might not have been a full calendar year, right? So maybe that's
It's
why
been
they're not getting
over a
paid.
full calendar year since they started doing these shows.
They've done 3 shows.
No, they've done
Four.
3, but the last 2.
I thought they've done 4.
They've done 4 shows.
Well,
Oh,
one
okay.
was in Australia, Super Showdown.
No, it wasn't, because they started out with
They
the
had
greatest, Royal Rumble, and then Crown Jewel, and then they had Super Showdown was in Australia.
There was one in Saudi too.
No, there was one in Saudi Arabia
There were
called
two
the Greatest
Oh, okay.
Showdown.
Okay, so then there's that, and then Crown Jewel, this one. So that's
Okay,
that's
well,
4.
How was
Either
that
way,
4? There's 2 controls? Was
either
there?
way.
Well,
either
Crown
way.
Jewel last year. Remember Evolution?
I think it was just Crown Jewel, Greatest Royal Rumble, and Crown Jewel again. I don't
Either-
think there was anything else.
Either way
I mean,
around, 3 or 4, whatever.
Either
Man.
way, it's been a little over a calendar year.
I can pretty much guarantee in my mind now that I think about it, it has to be a per show basis that they get paid, and they're just averaging out how many shows they're going to do over a 10-year time period and estimating it's going to last that long.
Right. So, but we don't know the details of why they were held back. It's all speculation. There's theories out there. I've heard, well, Gina gave me one theory. It's like they were held hostage. I'm like, they weren't held
I
hostage.
did not say that. That is not what I said.
I
Well,
know
she
she
said
did.
it, but what she meant was the plane was held hostage
Yeah, no. Oh my God, you guys.
without
that's not what I-
anybody in it.
No, that's not what I said. I was thinking that it was more along the lines of like maybe like radicals had threatened the plane itself. Not that people were being held at gunpoint in a fucking airport or anything like that.
They just fucking hate planes.
No, they just I thought that maybe somebody had said that they were going to blow up the plane when the athletes were on their way home or something like that.
Yeah, well, that could be, but I doubt that there's much security and even try that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, with this show, this would have been this was the fourth show because they started in April of 2018. They had a November 20 of 18. They had a June 2019, and then this show.
And then this one.
Yeah. So out of the four, the two haven't been paid. I mean, you've gotten half of the payment for what you
Great.
performed
You mean-
for.
You mean to tell me that not even Saudi Arabia wants to pay for the Goldberg Undertaker match? Jeez.
Would you?
I watched
No.
it like 5 times, man.
It don't matter.
That's only because you couldn't stop laughing, you fuck.
That's because the locker won.
It
The
don't
locker
matter.
room.
It don't matter how bad the match was. They still have to pay.
Because they still put on.
Oh my God.
I have a feeling that WWE has probably a pretty good out with the contract that they signed.
Yeah.
In my honest opinion, I highly doubt
I
Vince
mean-
McMahon being at the whims of Saudi Arabia because it's WWE taking the risk much more than Saudi Arabia doing anything.
Well, and if you
Yeah.
remember when they first started, when they first started this, if you remember, there was a travel ban at that time, and so Vince had to go around, and he actually went through Donald Trump in order to get the okay to go over there to begin with.
There
So
wasn't
like,
there wasn't a travel ban on Saudi Arabia.
no, not on Saudi Arabia. What was it? There was something that was going on at that time.
You couldn't
That-
you couldn't travel to Syria. You
Syria,
couldn't travel,
right.
Yeah.
But like at that time they weren't going to allow them to go over there because we talked about
Well,
it. Like,
that's because of
what
that
happened?
Khashoggi bullshit.
oh no, yeah, that was when the reporter. It was right after the reporter got killed. But anyways, so I'm pretty sure that in order to be able to go over there because of the heightened risk at that time, that the contract had to have been pretty solid, that if there was any kind of a threat to the athletes' lives or Vince's life or anything like that, that it would be null and void.
You got to remember, we do have troops over there.
Yeah, but you look at like the wrestlers are like huge investments in them themselves. They're money making properties, even though they're still people.
Mhm.
Like you get the roster that they sent over to Saudi Arabia. Something happens to them, that's an outage of millions upon millions of dollars in terms of money making property, even though it's people.
Well, I mean, look at last night. Could you imagine if NXT did not exist? What would have happened?
No, but, I think they only took that risk.
Daniel
No,
Bryan for 1 hour.
Time for a clip show, guys.
Yeah, it would have been
Said
Ross
it-
Snowden all over again.
Pay-per-view. Yeah, bits and pieces of the pay-per-view.
I'm telling
Yep.
you, it would have been a recap show.
Yep.
Mhm.
but
They've
outside
done
of
that
like
before.
the travel issue with Crown Jewel, what'd you think?
We'll get into it. We'll talk about it now. I mean, we'll talk about Raw, but we'll talk about Crown Jewel. Okay, we'll talk about Crown Jewel first.
Sucked.
So-
There you go. Done.
The Battle Royal happened. Humberto Carrillo won that.
Shooting a rocket up with that guy's ass, I swear.
Hopefully,
Oh,
Mr. Smiley Divot Pants or whatever the fuck he is. I can't fucking stand it.
I fucking hate him
Great.
because he looks so generic and so cookie cutter and speaks like he's just graduated from grade 3
This
with the dick up his
is
ass.
WWE saying, "Hey, we're gonna push this guy because he knows how to wrestle." That's not
and
how
he's
you
a
do it.
Mexican
The
talent.
fucking roster knows how to wrestle.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
I
Show me
know.
something with somebody with something else.
He
Give
is
me-
a
yeah,
Mexican talent. They pushed Andrade for so long, and then people started getting sick of seeing Andrade. So now they're pushing another Mexican talent.
I don't even think Andrade got the push that this guy did. He faces
Yeah.
champions left, right, and center on his first
Yeah,
couple
he
matches.
literally just came up with 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it is
I don't see the hype with him. I'm sorry. He can go in the ring. He looks like a child, and he can't speak. He can speak English, which is a benefit, and he speaks good English. But I don't want to ever hear him
He
talk.
went to the Lance Storm School of Promo. Brock and Cain Velasquez was the first match on the main show, and the match was not a wrestling match. For everybody that thought it was going to be a wrestling match, and everybody thinking that it was going to suck because it's a wrestling show. They did MMA. It was MMA through and through. There was trying to take actual wrestling takedowns were attempted, a kick, a few punches, and then Cain Velasquez kicked him one time, kicked him clear across the ring, and then Cain Velasquez got on top of him and started doing ground and pound, and then he reached in, and Brock Lesnar grabbed his arm, put him in the Kimura lock, and he tapped out in a minute. I want to say minute 45 seconds, I think it was how long the match took. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with what happened. Why? Because it hid the weaknesses of Cain Velasquez, and it didn't bury him at all.
No.
Everybody's out there saying it didn't bury him. I thought
No, absolutely not.
it did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
It did.
This was. Sorry, go ahead, Gina.
I was just gonna say, like I was discussing with you guys earlier before we went live, especially when you factor in what Triple H said on After the Bell, when he said specifically that Velasquez was hired as a developmental talent.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason he was up against Brock was because Crown Jewel was coming up and they needed something. They needed something huge.
And it gives Brock his win back, which is why they did MMA fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's one of the best booked matches of Crown Jewel.
It's planting the seeds for the future too. Like
exactly.
this isn't over. It's 1-1. Like,
yep.
I think it's smart booking.
If you were gonna have these two guys go at it in this way, it was the best way to book it. You put Brock Lesnar back on equal playing field with Cain Velasquez by having him beat him in a pretty much an MMA match in a squared circle. Yes, it's fake and shit, but whatever. And then you also, it doesn't really hurt Cain Velasquez because it's his first time in the ring from what people can see. And when they next have a match together, he can come out with the things that are actually surprising that he can do wrestling wise.
Yep.
And he'll probably also have 6 months of training or 4 months of training with WWE to improve.
Yep.
And not only that, but not only did the match do a really good job for both of them, making both of them look strong and for the future or whatever, but it made Ray at the end of the match. Ray came out looking strong because he beat the shit out of Brock Lesnar with the chair. Shut up, basement.
Never combine those words.
But
While wearing a cast.
But I mean, it continued the storyline with Ray,
which I kind of hate.
The whole thing, but the whole thing it continued a storyline for all three of them, plus Dominic.
Yep.
Okay, so this was the best part of I know they had to introduce Cain Velasquez in some way, and they used Rey Mysterio. I hate that portion of it, and now they're going back to it. Like the guy.
We're gonna get into it one night.
I want to see Rey Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar.
You know what?
No, but I have a feeling that that's going to be what we get.
I know it's what we're going to get.
We'll probably get that at the Royal Rumble.
I would much rather them not involve Ray at all. They didn't need to involve Ray at this. I understand that's how they
kind of did because you've got to remember Cain Velasquez. I don't know if you listened to any of Ray's promos or whatever he was saying, but Cain Velasquez is Dominic's godfather.
Familia.
La familia.
That's why Rey Mysterio was involved.
And not only that, but Brock and Ray kind of had a little short storyline going before Velasquez got involved because Brock beat the shit out of Dominic, hence why Velasquez stepped in.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm reminded of Zach Gowen and Brock Lesnar's feud with him.
No, you're right. So the next match, which was the best in the World Cup bullshit wrestling tag team garbage,
Okay, who gets
I'm not
a
going to
thought?
go through the whole fucking thing because I really didn't care. There was a missed opportunity in this, though. They did not have Big E and Otis wrestle.
Oh man, that would have been great.
That would
That
have
would have been
been,
great.
it would have been comedic, but it still would have been, I think, entertaining.
Has the New Day gone against Heavy Machinery like in a tag match yet?
Yeah, but not
No,
Big E.
teamed with them.
Not with
But not
Big
with
E.
Big E,
no,
eh?
no, Big E and Otis still have yet to be in the ring together.
And I
from
think
what
they're
Man,
I've-
can you
saving
imagine
but
them as a tag team?
I would rather they missed an opportunity there.
especially with the crowd, because the crowd was in love
They-
with Big E
with
and with
both,
Otis.
Yes, and it would have gotten a big pop.
Yeah.
This Dave Meltzer rated every single match on
Individually.
this individually.
Why?
I don't know. He rated what did he? Bob, can you pull up the ratings again for me, please?
No.
Well, I'd love to hear this on the whole fucking show
No.
after we
Sure,
talk
Dad.
about things. Because
Oh.
for fuck's sakes, man, I was not a fan of this tag team turmoil
No,
thing. It was too
and
long.
especially
It was awful.
the ending of the tournament of the gauntlet match, which is what
You know, do you know how important that was for me? I don't even remember who the fuck won. I don't
the
care.
OC did. The OC beat
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Viking
yeah.
Raiders.
Okay.
They beat the
And
Viking
they'll carry
Raiders.
around
Anybody
that
else?
fucking thing until it gets
Anybody- yeah.
broken. by
Oh
someone.
yeah.
I was gonna say, like, this is just gonna be another reason for them to be carrying around a dumb trophy for the next like 6 weeks.
Until
6
it gets
weeks.
broken and they
I
get
have
upset.
TP. I have them up.
All right.
Oh,
So
God.
what did Brock versus Cain Velasquez get?
A -1 star.
Are you
So-
serious?
I mean,
If-
if you're judging it as a match, it didn't need to happen as a match. But the outcome and how it was booked is kind of where I'm judging it.
Yep.
Yes, I would have, with what happened, I would have given it at least a star and a half. I mean, it didn't last very long, and I figured out why Meltzer does this shit, because it wasn't a match, so it wasn't a wrestling match, so he doesn't rate.
He should
Okay.
just say no rating available or some shit.
Yeah, no
Like,
shit.
why actually put a rating on it? Because it was 2 minutes long. There was no wrestling actually in it. That's actually professional wrestling for WWE or entertainment wrestling, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it's where it's adding to and where it's getting to. I was completely okay with it because if they went and put on an actual wrestling match, they've
would've
just
been
literally took their dick out, exploded all over us in 2 minutes, and walked out and went to buy cigarettes and never came home.
Right.
Oh my god.
So, what was the first match, Bobbit, in the turmoil?
Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler versus Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado.
What did that get?
2.5 stars.
He's on crack.
It's the Lucha House Party.
Next match?
Roode and Ziggler versus Ryder and Hawkins. Got 0.25 stars.
Oh my god.
What, Dory?
Sorry. It's just, it sounds like a really bad version of main event. Like, it's just the match is like, oh, sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The
Jeez.
matches that he's announcing.
Yeah.
Fucking Zack Ryder
sound like-
versus
Yeah, main
Sounds like a
event.
main
Grand
event.
Metalik.
Yep.
Like, they shouldn't even been rated.
Well, I mean, whatever.
This is tag team turmoil, the biggest tag team turmoil in wrestling history.
We've got Zack Ryder.
What's next?
You've got Grand Metalik. What's
Heavy Machinery versus Roode and Ziggler.
Yeah.
It got 2.5 stars.
Okay, so
Wow.
so
this,
everything
this
gets
leads
2.5 stars?
into this leads into New Day versus Heavy Machinery. What did that get?
3.5 stars.
1.5 stars.
That
That makes
match
He's on crack.
was better than the match before it.
This guy doesn't make any sense, man. He sounds like a sandwich. His name does. And I feel like he lives in a fucking cave because he looks like fucking Hobgoblin from Spider-Man.
What's
You know,
next?
I don't even understand why his star thing even matters, because wasn't he the one that said that All In was gonna fall on its fucking face?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he said it wouldn't sell out. He didn't say it'd fall on
Right.
its face.
Right. So it wouldn't sell out, but yet it sold out in like less than a minute.
This is a guy that gives
Why
every.
are people listening to this douchebag
This is a
anymore?
guy that gives every fucking AEW match 4 stars.
Yeah, because he's sucking their ass now because they
Yes.
proved him wrong.
Well, and 2, they have New Japan stars there. That's
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what was the next match, Bobby?
The
OC.
New Day versus the B Team.
Yep.
Why even
B-team,
do this?
B-team,
Like
yay, yay, yay.
they did it to fill space, but it was like just oh man.
Well,
And
I don't
again-
hate the B team.
It got 1 star.
Okay, that I can understand that. Next.
B team, disappear.
Ah,
There they go.
the New Day versus the Revival.
See,
It got 2.25 stars.
Again.
yeah, but any revival match, like Meltzer's pretty much up their assholes. So
Why the fuck is he rating these separately? They are all actually considered one
He
match.
has
Yeah.
no life.
He has no
I
life.
don't think he can count anymore.
What's next?
The OC versus the New Day. It got 0.5 stars.
Okay, so I'd give this whole thing 0.5 stars because I don't give a shit about it.
I would give
did nothing
Dave
for
Meltzer
anybody.
a 0 point go to fucking hell.
The only good moments
Final
were with
match.
Otis.
Next and final match.
The OC versus the Viking Raiders got 1.25 stars.
Meh.
You know, fuck the Viking Raiders.
I
They're
agree.
super dead.
They're super dead. They lost to the fucking OC.
The
The
only
only
thing
people they
that
can beat are people that aren't even on the fucking roster.
the only thing that like made my ears perk up was they referred to themselves like they kind of referred back to their old selves when he said the raid is coming. And I was like, please, for the love of fucking God, let them go back to War Raiders.
You know that it's not going to happen.
I don't
No,
even care what they
but-
go back to. I think they're just not gonna work on the main roster.
They don't. They don't work in WWE.
Well, it's kind of like Sanity. I mean, but you can't say they don't work in WWE because the War Raiders were fucking hot in NXT.
Like I said, they don't work on Raw and SmackDown. It's too.
That's better.
You know why they
Holy
don't work on
shit.
Raw and SmackDown is because there's too many
I'm just
big
being
people.
you.
There's
I'm
too
too
much
being
many,
you,
production.
JP.
Too much
there's
production
too many
value
other
on
big
Raw.
talent. They don't stand
Mhm.
out.
Yeah,
They just look like two hairy butt fuckers.
They do. They do.
Well,
That's
and
it.
it was the same thing with Sanity. I mean, Sanity was insanely popular down in
But
NXT,
did
and then
you
they brought
notice-
them up, and all of a sudden, like they're nowhere.
I feel
If
like
you-
that was just they had no faith in them. Because I feel like Sanity could have done a bit better than what they ended up doing. I feel like Vince McMahon looked at Eric Young and was like, who the fuck is this 70-year-old man?
Okay, here's what I don't understand though. It's like you had Sanity, who was yes, they were a faction, but they were fucking amazing. So you break those guys apart only to create another faction in the OC.
Why not?
Well, it's
Well,
not really creating it.
the
It's
thing
putting it
that-
back together.
Yeah, putting it back together.
I think it's weird too, like with the Raiders, that they don't have Sarah Logan with them and that they took Nikki Cross away from Sanity. Like, I think it's kind of weird that they, like,
Well-
to me, it would at least make them stand out that, hey, like, they have Sarah Logan with them.
Yeah, but I think
And Sarah,
that
Sarah Logan would have them with her.
But
See,
yeah.
it can work both ways, and they never do that shit unless
Well,
it's Selena Vega and
if
she doesn't even
they-
fucking
if-
wrestle.
if they come out with her as well, then I could definitely see it. Otherwise, if they just have her coming out with them, it's kind of more like you're going back to the valet type things where like the women are seen as
I'd
oh,
love to see
she
a
can only
woman-
walk them out to the ring.
I'd love to see a faction with a women's champion and the tag team champions from the men's division, and have it because they usually only do factions when they have a main card guy and two others that accompany them, like the OC. So if they do that with the women, and you have the one woman with two men, and the men aren't treated like fucking garbage and actually are good in ring,
Mhm.
I get behind that. But Sarah Logan should never win a championship. Sorry,
Agreed.
sorry, Ronnie.
Sorry, Ronnie.
She don't care. I don't think she just does that.
It's like Nikki Bella.
Oh God.
The next match was Mansoor versus Cesaro. I didn't get to see much of this match because I was paying attention to Wendy. I think I was asleep or something. I can't remember. That was the day that she was sick as fuck. Mansoor defeated Cesaro.
That was a good match.
I still don't think Mansoor is very good.
Mansoor
Oh.
is generic. I'd say Cesaro's
adequate.
really good. So anybody you put, Cesaro can also run a match. Mansoor is like he reminds me of Sammy Guevara.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mansoor, you got to remember that kid. They just got him 2 years ago. So he's still technically developing. But seeing him in the ring with Cesaro.
Okay. So my question is, what if he's developing? Just because he is from fucking Saudi Arabia, why you fucking put him
He's
in
the
fucking...
hometown
No,
hero.
they had
to.
to do
Shit.
this.
Well,
You know
you know
why?
what?
Because they literally
Hold
have
on.
nobody else. They literally have nobody else from Saudi Arabia.
Not only
so they have
that,
to beef that up.
and not only that, but the prince. Chances are the prince probably asked for him because
suck
the
my
people,
why?
Even if he
The
didn't,
why
people
also?
want to see their hometown hero.
This is like Natalia coming here and getting a title shot every time she's in Canada.
Yeah,
I'm not comparing Natalia and Mansoor, but it's the same idea.
yeah.
But this is also why they only use Mansoor when they go to Saudi.
What is
Right.
I haven't seen him do anything. If he is this good, why isn't he on fucking NXT?
He's not
Because
that good though.
he's still in developmental. Like the only reason why he's getting showcased in Saudi is because he is the hometown hero. Because he was kind of the homebred. He was the one that they chose
sense for why they made this match happen and why he won. Because
You know
Cesaro doesn't need a win; it doesn't matter. He can run the show, and Mansoor gets to show off the moves that he's learned recently. And he's not that bad. It's just
Mhm.
like he seems late to the party in terms of learning. He doesn't seem like a natural, and that's why I said his name is Sammy Guevara, right? The guy from AEW. That
Guevara.
fucking
Yeah.
yeah.
Guevara, yeah.
That fucking because he reminds me of somebody that learned out of a textbook and then started doing moves instead of actually naturally picking things up.
The one person that I'm really surprised that they don't showcase more in Saudi Arabia, and yes, I know most people hate him, but I'm really surprised that they don't let Mojo in more
Oh God.
matches. No, because
I'd rather.
Mojo's,
I want to see Mojo versus fucking Mansoor
but
in
Mojo
a
is
fucking suicide match.
one of either one or both of Mojo's family, like his parents, are Saudi Arabian. So I think
He's
it's one of
terrible.
them. It's
He's
one of them.
Worse than Mansoor.
But even still, the crowd loves him over there. That's why every single time he's an ambassador for Saudi Arabia, every single time that they're over there, he's over there for like a week and a half.
Maybe he should stay there.
I'm just saying, I'm really surprised that they don't put him on the shows more. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he deserves to be. I'm just saying I'm surprised they don't.
Fuck him.
You
Was he in the
shut up.
Battle Royal?
Yes, he was.
He was in the
Yeah.
greatest. He was
Oh,
in the
there-
greatest Royal Rumble.
No, he was.
Wait.
He was in this battle royal.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. I
he
didn't
was
watch
there.
it because JP spoiled it.
He got
Oh.
eliminated first
Did
because
he
he's a
actually
fucking
care?
idiot.
Yeah, he comes out with like ass cracks on his face.
I like
And they
Mojo.
did
You guys
that
can shut up.
entrance music. They walked out the other 18 or 17 people, and 3 people got an entrance.
Yeah, one of them was R-Truth.
Yeah, one was
Yeah, because he's
R-Truth.
popular.
One was R-Truth. One was Humberto Carrillo, and I can't remember who the other one was.
Yeah,
Well, R-Truth is the 33rd time 24/7 champ.
24/7, 7-Eleven
Andrade.
champion.
No, I'm not even gonna talk about that shit. I don't fucking.
You can see him slowly like redlining.
Fucking.
I mean, 33 times, JP. That's championship material there.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Fucking
Yep.
garbage. Anyway,
Andrade.
Andrade was the last one. The next match was Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman, and it went about what I thought it was gonna do. It was gonna be a count out. Yeah, they aren't gonna fucking. Go ahead.
What I did like about this match though is they
Nothing.
two things. I like 2 things about this match. One is they kind of told a story in the ring because like Tyson Fury comes out and he gets all of these fucking Braun Strowman comes out, he doesn't get anything, right? Tyson Fury comes out and he gets this big fucking entrance and all these fireworks, and Braun Strowman's in the ring going, what the fuck? Like, I work here. I
I
work
love
here.
that.
This is my
Well.
ring. Like, why do you get all this stuff? So they kind of told that, but then they also, with the finish, they kind of left it open because when I was watching After the Bell, Triple H mentions that they're not sure if Tyson Fury is trying to decide right now if he wants to start a contract with WWE. So they
Please,
left it
God,
open.
no.
But
Oh, no,
but
I
they
wouldn't.
left it open. That's for
They didn't
future
leave it open. He
storyline.
lost.
Yes, but he came back and he beat the shit out of Tyson Fury at the end. So
Mhm.
they left it
Well.
open.
Well, it's Braun Strowman.
Dear.
They need to not have anything more to do with this guy. That's all I can say. It was
I mean,
a
I
one-time
agree.
thing.
I don't want to see him again either. I'm just saying.
I know.
They
It's a
open.
one-time thing for me. I think we're good. We're good. I'm good with it.
Stick to boxing is all I'm going to say
That's
because he moves around the
exactly it.
ring like he's got Parkinson's.
I
He
agree.
reminds me
He
a
took
lot
his
of like.
shirt off and I almost threw up.
They're going to have to have some kind of a gimmick match at WrestleMania, so it leaves the door open for that.
Yeah.
This is
So-
Braun Strowman. This is what he is now, and this
Yep,
is what he will be forever.
Get your
I
thing.
seen
Meat
Braun Strowman
Castle.
get knocked out of the ring and didn't respond to the 10 count, so that ended the match. And
Didn't this shit happen with fucking Big Show and fucking Floyd Mayweather?
no,
No, Floyd Mayweather actually knocked Big Show the fuck out.
with brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, fuck, close enough.
Right.
Well,
Dory, you
But-
were trying to
but-
say something? Go ahead.
I don't even remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, at the end with like Braun Strowman coming back in and kicking his ass again, left the door open.
I'd
I
say
hope the
close
door
it.
stays closed for the
I
rest
hope
of my
it
life.
stays closed. I don't want to fucking see it.
That match was terrible.
It left
Well,
the
it
door
was
to hell
really
wide
bad.
open. No, the match itself was horrible, but I did like how Braun Strowman was kind of like throwing a hissy fit in the ring about like, what the hell? Why did you get all this stuff?
None of this is on Braun Strowman. I actually thought he did as good a job as he could have.
Yep.
Tyson Fury was like should have never been in the ring to begin with.
Well, you got to remember he didn't have much time to fucking a month, if that.
Yeah, which is why he should have never been in the ring to begin
Exactly.
with.
Well, and
But
that's what I don't.
I can't blame Tyson Fury. He was just trying to showcase.
And you know,
He wasn't trying to showcase himself. Well, he was, but he wasn't. He knew he wasn't going to be very good.
well,
He did the best
and you,
he could, I guess.
the things that people need to understand, and again, I heard this from Triple H, straight out of Triple H's mouth on After the Bell, was two people, like Cain Velasquez and Tyson Fury, they both approached WWE. WWE did not go hunting for them.
Mhm.
They
Okay.
came to WWE, and they wanted, because I guess like that's one of the reasons why Cain was down in Mexico training down there, because he was trying to get better so that he could come to WWE. So he was constantly calling. And then Tyson Fury just happened to call up Triple H one time, and they knew they had Crown Jewel coming up, and it was an opportunity.
It's a lifelong dream of his, I guess. He's been a fan for all of his life, but he chose
Yeah.
boxing over wrestling, so he said, hey, fuck it, I'm a world champion. Why not? They took it. He ran with it as a bucket list thing for him.
Yeah, but I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people like shitting on WWE on Twitter
I'm
because
so
they're
fucking sick and
God,
tired of
God
this
damn
shit.
WWE, they have to do these gimmick things, blah blah blah. No, they didn't seek these guys out. These guys sought them out, and it's it's big money. It's big
No.
money. You'd be stupid to
That's
say no.
all it was, and it's the right place to showcase this. This is essentially a glorified house show. Put it there. Don't put it on WrestleMania. I don't want to see that because it's some guy, like one guy that can wrestle and one guy that has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
Right.
It's okay
The
where
only
it is.
thing, the only person from UFC that I would actually want to see come in, not WrestleMania or anything like that, but like a Conor McGregor would be a huge. Hold on, no.
No.
The only
120
reason
pounds.
the only reason why I say that is purely because of his fucking attitude. If they pinned him up against the right person, it'd be great.
I think we need a break from this for a little while. I don't think we need to see anybody else coming in.
I do not want to see fucking Conor McGregor anywhere.
Conor
near fucking
McGregor's
WWE.
attitude alone, he would never last in WWE.
No,
but
no, because somebody would legit beat the fucking shit out of him if they could.
Because he's a small guy.
Douchebag ass motherfucker.
I like Conor McGregor. I mean, he's an asshole, but I like him.
Fucking guy is a fucking waste of fucking space.
Gee, JP, tell me how you really feel.
I think he's a douchebag. I've said it from the beginning. I've always said he was a douchebag. I think he is a fucking douchebag.
I'm pretty sure he is like a big head on small shoulders.
He thinks he's bigger than what he really is.
Well, look at the way he walks. You can kind of tell that.
Exactly. Vince McMahon's it.
That's it.
Also heard he has a 13-inch dick, but that's just rumor speculation.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. Why?
But no, I'm sorry.
Asshole probably eats Lucky Charms for breakfast.
When Conor McGregor gets brought up, it makes me irate. That guy doesn't deserve anything at all.
Every time I see him, I think of Lucky Charms. That's all I'm saying.
Who is that that are me Lucky Charms?
And I know the guy could beat the fuck out of me, but I don't give a shit. I'm not picking a fight with the guy. I just think he's a fucking cocksucker. That's all. If he can't fucking
put a few beers in JP and he'd pick a fight with him.
I might.
You'd be like, you fucking suck.
Conor McGregor versus the Fiend.
Like the fucking Will Ospreay put a tweet out. He said, I can't remember, it had something to do, I would eat ice cream off of Ishii's head. And he goes, you wouldn't because you're a normal person. Me, I drink a lot, so I would do it. I said, I'll fucking do it. I'm anywhere near Ishii, I'll fucking eat ice cream off his head. I fucking love Ishii. I think he's awesome. But
I'd try it.
Stone Pitbull.
Well, I got a UFC guy on tonight calling out Triple H and Ric Flair, this Canelo Kovalov.
Oh my God.
So
it's just a never-ending fucking
thing. Yeah.
It's never. WWE is just gonna ignore it. I can get it there.
So
who wants to hear the Meltzer ratings?
I mean, Conor McGregor's been calling out the WWE for what now? 3-4 years now.
And
Yeah.
sorry, Bob, 1 second. Stephanie McMahon actually addressed him as well, and she said, "You know what, Conor?" She said, "I like the gumption that you have. Now, if you want to actually put words into action, you come to the WWE and we'll put you in the performance center and see what you really got."
He can
I don't agree with his attitude. He's more of a problem than he's probably going to be helpful.
Yep.
The guy gets in
wouldn't
trouble
last.
left, right, and center, and I guarantee you, someone hits him hard, he's gonna go to fucking town on them in the middle of the ring.
And not only
that
and
kind of guy.
Dangerous.
well, he has an anger problem, and not only that, the dude he drinks all the time, and then on top of that, his attitude alone, like he goes out in public, and every single time he goes out in public, he gets into another fucking fight.
Yeah.
And so he would never be able to work with WWE.
He's just a shitty person.
What do you call it? Like the actions that they're allowed to do. What would you call that? I can't think.
He
of it
get
right
in
now.
legal trouble constantly. Though he might be a huge draw initially, over time he's going to be evening out even keel once he's gone through fucking all these legal issues that he's going to create.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, like every couple of years, WWE does this, and they bring in somebody who's an external non-wrestler person, and I'm fine with it once in a while. But we just literally had 2. I would really like to have a break.
Well,
for
Cain
like a year.
Velasquez
Is an actual
Cain
WWE.
Velasquez signed a multi-year deal. He
Mhm.
wants to wrestle. He knows
Well,
how
Take
to
him
wrestle.
away for 6 to 8 months and then bring him back.
No, but here's the
Yeah.
thing, like Cain Velasquez, one, he knows how to wrestle, but he wants to get better, which is why he signed a developmental contract.
I'm okay with him, but I'm with you with the Tyson Fury thing. I don't want to see another guy that really, or girl that really knows nothing about wrestling, try to get in the ring again.
Wait, you want to see Kim Kardashian come do a spot? Come on.
Oh, can you put me in the ring with her so I can just punch her?
Her fucking breast and ass implants.
So we're halfway through the show.
Yes, please, for the love of God, continue.
Don't worry, time's going back.
Oh, it's fine. AJ Styles defeated Humberto Carrillo.
Wait, what was the Meltzer for fucking Tyson Fury?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, he gave it. I think.
No, he didn't.
What was it, Bobbit?
Alright, well, first for the Cesaro Mansoor got 3.75,
Which bullshit.
And-
Anyway, go ahead.
It wasn't a bad match. It was pretty good. I
No,
thought.
that was a good match. But
It was a Cesaro match. Anyways,
Tyson Fury for Strowman got dud.
Okay.
dud.
I mean,
What the fuck does that mean?
No rating.
agree with that.
Nothing.
Why did
Zero.
Brock Lesnar get a rating?
Brock Lesnar got a negative rating, but they got a dud.
He's an idiot.
Wow.
He's an idiot. Anyway,
Oh my god.
what did AJ Styles versus Humberto Carrillo? What did it get?
2.75 stars.
But it wasn't that
Okay.
different from the
Wrestling
match.
though.
So you're telling me right now that the AJ Styles versus Humberto Carrillo, and I don't care about Humberto Carrillo, was not as good as Cesaro and Mansoor?
That is
Turns out-
correct.
Hold on. No, it's not. That's not correct because Cesaro and Mansoor got 3.75.
No, that's what I was not as good.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I heard was as good.
That is correct, and I also agree with it because Humberto Carrillo can suck my dick.
Yeah, but AJ Styles is pretty good in the ring too.
And it was a good in-ring
Cesaro
wrestling
was-
match.
Cesaro and Mansoor actually worked pretty well together, man.
And
It's not a shit fest.
But Cesaro can hold almost anybody in the ring.
But you that and you got to factor in the crowd as well. Like that crowd atmosphere added a lot to that match because both the more the crowd is into it, the better the in ring or the more the in ring talent is going to put into it. And you could see with Cesaro and Mansoor that the crowd was affecting them, and it was making
almost
them better.
guarantee you whether or not the crowd is cheering that AJ Styles will give you 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
But so will Cesaro.
Yeah.
I will say, Humberto
Oh,
Carrillo
no.
versus AJ Styles. Did we not just see that?
Yep.
Why did we
The
not
exact
get?
same
Why
match.
did we not have? I would have much rather had Cesaro versus AJ Styles.
Oh God, I
Yeah,
would.
but there's a reason they did
just-
everything except for the
I know.
Humberto Carrillo thing. Because fuck that. Because I don't care about that guy. He's quickly approaching fucking taking on Rey Mysterio's mask.
So the very next match is the match that was talked about on social media for all day yesterday about, and it was the women's match.
Mhm.
Natalia versus
Amazing.
Lacey Evans.
Amazing.
Natalia
as-
defeated Lacey Evans. Now, that being said, with what they were allowed to do, it was pretty
Mhm.
good. I'm not going to shit on it. And it wasn't so much what happened in the match. It's
It was the
what
moment.
the moment. This is the moment. This was a moment.
When you have people on social media literally saying that they are crying,
Yeah. And that's what I said. Like it wasn't about heel versus face. It wasn't about like any tactics. It was just about pure wrestling in that moment. And I was more than okay
It
with that.
wasn't. You want me to be honest with you? I don't even think it was about the wrestling.
I don't even remember
No.
what happened wrestling wise in the match. To be
it
honest.
wasn't
Because I didn't really care about the match. It was what the match meant.
Yes.
the wrestling moves themselves. They were good. They were good because they couldn't hit each other. But the whole thing was about that moment and that monumental, huge step
And I saw
that
some
they
people.
took.
I saw
Because that
some.
wasn't. I'm sorry, Dory. Just real quick, that it wasn't just the first women's wrestling match. That was the first time that women were allowed to showcase in front of a crowd. Period in that country.
Go ahead, Dory.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say I saw some people shitting on Lacey Evans for breaking, like her whole gimmick, and she was crying in the ring. I'm like, well, how would you not cry in that moment? How would you not like absolutely lose your mind
Those-
and like just bawl? Like to me, I don't care that that happened. Like it doesn't bug
Corey
me at
Graves
all.
said on commentary that he would be lying if he wasn't choked up in that moment.
Yeah, and those are the people that don't understand the monumental.
The people
Thing
that were
that just
shitting,
happened.
The people that were shitting on this are those people that this is WWE just money grubbing. This is WWE just sticking their hands in everything. Why does WWE do this? Well, shut the fuck up.
It was
Whiny
like
little
it was
motherfucker.
worldwide news.
I mean,
Yeah.
who fucking cares who is in the fucking match? How do I say that? It doesn't matter who's in the fucking match. I'm going to tell you right fucking now. If they were to put anybody else in that match, and I'm just going to throw names out there, I'm going to put
Mandy
out there
Rose.
fucking Candice LeRae and fucking Io Shirai. Because they have a pretty intense fucking feud going on in NXT. That crowd would like, what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
Who are these two? I've never seen these two before. Because not everybody watches NXT.
Well, not only that, but as we discussed numerous times this week, Natty has established, because she was an ambassador last year, she established connections with the Saudi people. Lacey Evans is a former Marine, so she was trained in how to be able to handle their culture. So
Yeah.
these two made perfect sense. And it just so happened that they had a recent rivalry.
Okay,
But
so
it's not only that, and I'm sorry, Basement, but it's not only that. She was also one of those ambassadors. Alexa Bliss was supposed to be in this match, but they gave her time off. She asked for time off, away. I don't know what for. I'm not going to sit here. We're not going to talk about it because there's really no reason.
She just wanted time off.
She wanted time off. There's nothing wrong with that.
Everybody has the right to take a vacation from their job once in a while.
But
Mhm.
Lacey Evans was one of those people that was right along Natty. This happened. They rewarded Natalya to be in this. That's why she was in this match. They rewarded Lacey Evans for what she has done for women's, whatever you want to call it.
And all these people out there that are saying, "Oh, it should have been Sasha, it should have been Becky, it should have been Charlotte." How many times do the four horsewomen get to do the first evers?
I'll also tell you why it shouldn't have been them. Like, the people that they picked was probably the absolute best that they could have. Lacey Evans is arguable. You could have picked somebody else because I don't really have the track record to speak on her. But she's still she's top candidate because not only do they have a basis for why they want to be there and willing to be there, they are also safe and non-botching wrestlers. They do not wrestle in a way where it's too aggressive. A lot of it's mat-based and stuff like that. And if they're limiting strikes and things like that, how in the fuck is Sasha Banks going to be part of that?
Exactly.
Like, a lot of the women wrestling that we see that we'd like over here is probably not what they want to see there. For fuck's sakes, they wanted Yokozuna versus Hulk Hogan or some shit at the beginning. They want the old school wrestling, and they want to see that in the women that they've got. Therefore, I think if you had to pick two people, who else would you really choose?
The only other one that I think they could have chose would have been Charlotte. But again, how many times are you going to give Charlotte the first evers?
Charlotte,
I think that's why
I don't think Charlotte needed it though, and also I think Charlotte. I think Charlotte and Natalya might have been probably just as good, or maybe a bit better. But they also want to promote Lacey Evans.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that being said, that they've had these matches, now you might start seeing Sasha versus whoever, or Charlotte versus Lacey, or something like that.
Becky's gonna have to change her gimmick from the man before she can go over there anyway. So.
Well, Becky's just, I don't.
Her gimmick's too profitable for her to go over there and change it for no reason.
Well, and the thing is, but like back to the whole thing, it's for people that were bitching about any of this, you lost sight in what matters, man, because legitimately this was not about wrestling. This was the first time that women got to be showcased in front of a crowd, period.
Who was the woman that they hugged at the end of the match that they showed on camera?
I think she is the leader of the women's rights.
She is, yes.
Okay.
She's one of the women, or the woman that, or is one of the women that is at the forefront of what's going on over there.
And
the prince has brought her into, because he feels it.
And she's the one that was like the huge proponent to have this match.
Well, I just thought it was really nice, but they should have maybe alluded to that on commentary because I had no idea.
I
don't know if they
I think the
could.
moment was enough. To be honest, I get what
Yeah,
you're saying, Dory.
but
I
it
do
would
get
have
what you're
helped.
saying. It would have helped, but I
Yeah.
think the moment was enough. I think you
Or
could
allude
have.
to it later, like when they show a replay or.
Or
Right,
even just
I
have
mean-
her name underneath.
Mhm.
But I think I think you could draw that conclusion the way that Lacey Evans was being towards her, that you could have drawn a conclusion that she was at the forefront of all this. If that makes sense.
It also may have been a situation where they didn't want to put her in danger by
Right.
putting her name out.
You see, they can't.
Or just have her publicly spoken about because they probably didn't
Yeah.
want to
Because there are
Publicize.
still huge radicals in that country that do not want to see this women's movement go forward.
No,
AKA
also
the
see for
the two assholes that threw water bottles at
one.
Natalia and
Yeah,
Lacey.
I didn't see the
Yeah.
two. I seen the one.
there was two. There was one that threw at Natalia and one that threw at Lacey Evans. But like a credit to everything that went on. It's actually a credit to them that I don't remember the match because the moment was always going to outshine the match. You don't need two people beating the living fuck out of each other so that the match becomes even
More-
close to what the moment means.
Exactly, and that's another reason why I think they chose these two.
And I will say this, out of all of these first evers for the women,
This is the
was
biggest.
this was the biggest. This was absolutely the biggest.
It's being held in a place that's like was heavily oppressed for a lot longer than here.
And Sasha and Alexa actually did have a first ever in Abu Dhabi.
Yep,
Abu
So
Dhabi, you mean?
Abu Dhabi, Abu Dubai, however the fuck you say it.
Abu Dhabi.
But yeah, so it didn't bring a tear to my eye, but it made me take a breath.
I think you're one of the only people it didn't.
Dude, I had
didn't- I
tears.
had that inside.
I don't get emotional and stuff like that. But
I
what
had
it
tears,
what it did
but
do
I
for
just
me,
blinked a lot.
what it did do for me, it looked at my daughter, it looked at, and said you can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
So that's what it did for me. It made me take a breath and not really choke me up, but it just made me realize that, hey, women can do just as much as men.
Yeah.
Now, don't get excited. I don't think
I-
they can. I don't think they can do as much as men all the time. Like, I don't think they can play football, but they were playing against
I
women.
They
don't
could play
know.
football.
Nyla
I don't know
Rose
if I
could.
want to watch
Nyla
it.
Rose was a guy, Gina.
Fine.
Of course
Nia
he could
Jax
play
could.
football.
Nia
I
Jax
think-
could.
There's a woman
I
on
get
the
what you're
college
saying,
football
JP, and the
team.
thing is, it's not so much that women can do anything; it's that women can do anything anywhere now. It's not just where we are so blessed to live.
I think I'm with JP where I felt happy for the people that I know because I'm a man and we have had this before. So I feel happy for the people out there that feel good about the moment it is. And you can kind of realize that it's a big deal. So it's good. I wasn't crying, but I was definitely kind of erect.
What? Oh God. What
That's
got
like
me
fucking
was
crazy.
the girls, the little girls in the audience. That's what got me because
Yeah.
that was their moment to be like,
That was
I can be whatever the hell I want to be.
Some of them had the little fucking cat ears on. The fucking
Oh my God, they were
Italian
so
cat ears.
cute.
Right.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, we'll move on.
this was the only good part to me of Crown Jewel was this whole match and the whole aura around this match.
You want me to rule on this whole thing?
No,
Oh God.
Yes.
What did the crackhead have to say?
Mr.
Go ahead.
Mr. Meltzer gave this match 2 stars.
Well,
Okay. Fair
It's
enough.
not terrible.
He's
The
rating the
match
match.
itself, I can see, but I'm gonna say
Yeah.
this right now: Meltzer shouldn't have fucking rated this match on a match itself. He should have rated the moment, and it was 5 stars.
I don't
Well,
think
and
you
not
should
only
ever
that, but
rate just the match in wrestling. Because
only that,
wrestling is
but-
not just a match ever.
okay, but he could have simply said unrateable. But this match is unrateable. There's no way to rate.
Or he could have rated the match a 2-star and say the moment was a 5-star or something like
Right.
Like
Right.
did
I
the
just
same
would have said,
thing.
like me personally, if I'm going to rate wrestling, I'm not rating just fucking in-ring work because that's ridiculous.
Especially
'Cause
with
then
an
it doesn't
entertainment-based
matter.
business.
Sorry, Heather.
Especially with an entertainment-based business.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it literally makes no sense.
Right. Team Hogan versus Team Flair. Team Hogan
Don't
beat
care.
Team Flair. I know, but it was part of the fucking show.
But you said you weren't going to go through every match.
Yeah, I did. I said I was going to give you the results of every match.
Oh, you did. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, for Crown Jewel, I mean, nobody
All right.
reviewed it or talked about it, so fuck.
Okay. I must have missed that.
I want to say Roman pinned Randy Orton. I
Mhm.
can't remember.
No, I literally did not give a
No,
team with this
Roman.
match.
Fuck,
What?
I don't remember who.
I think Roman
I
pinned
think Roman
Randy.
actually pinned Baron Corbin.
That could be.
I think it was Baron Corbin,
Okay,
actually.
Okay, that's fine. And then
Yeah,
the
because that was
final.
supposed to lead into that match Friday night, which never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final match.
Mm-hmm. Fuck red lights. Fuck red lights.
I said the red lights is the least of it for me.
I
Yeah,
can't.
I can now get over it, but it shouldn't really happen because it's a distraction more than it is an addition.
I can't with the red lights because as soon as they turn those son of a bitches on, I can't see anything that's going on. It fucks my eyes up. It gives me a headache.
Well, get used
Looks
to
like
it
they're in a
because every
brothel.
fucking match this guy is in, there's gonna be a fucking red. It's gonna be in red lights.
Oh,
The thing is, the
God.
only
No,
thing
I
that
think now
looks
it's-
good
I
in the red
won't do
lights
it.
is the Fiend. The rest looks
Wait.
like shit.
Yep.
Trek, what did you say?
I think now that he has the belt, just like remember Kane, when in his first appearances, Kane had the red light too. They took that away pretty quick. So I think once now that he has the belt, I think they'll take it away. You'll see it go
You
away.
didn't pay any attention on Twitter, did you?
No.
Apparently, the Fiend is unstoppable in red lights. So for as long as those red lights are on, he's not losing.
What in the literal fuck?
Where did
What?
you see that?
Like, there's suspending disbelief, and then there's
Oh.
retardation.
Okay,
That's
here's the thing.
Essentially, what they put
Apparently.
on Twitter.
Huh?
See, because I saw where that there were people unhappy with the red light because of how that portrayed Satan and the devil.
I could
And
care less about that.
Yeah, I can give a
That
shit.
comes out looking
especially
like
with it being
fucking-
over there. And like we had
But-
said too, I mean, he
Well,
came out with the severed
hold on.
head.
Go ahead.
And
Go ahead, Ronnie.
with him coming out with the severed head, which I was surprised they even allowed that, but his character
Yeah.
alone, that's what he's portraying. I mean, it's a dark character.
But
Was it
if
the-
you heard the crowd, they loved Bray Wyatt.
Did they?
They loved it.
Did they?
They were screaming and shouting and cheering when he was coming out.
Didn't his like lantern wasn't it not lit though? Like
I
didn't he
don't
come with it completely like
I'm
darkish?
not- Sure.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't fucking care about Bray Wyatt or the Fiend.
I think that with the red lights, WWE
I have to.
they're making a huge mistake, okay? Because you have companies like, for instance, AEW that are catering to people with sensory issues, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's because they are in the 21st century, okay? There are a lot of people out there who have vision problems, hearing problems, autism, things like that. And when you do things like turn on a red light, somebody who normally, like myself, somebody
the
who
red
is
light.
shut up. Oh, Roxanne. Okay. But when you have somebody like myself who is normally freaking blind as a bat and already has a problem not being able to see very well, and you turn on red lights, that's making it way fucking worse, and that's going to turn people away.
Well,
It's
Well,
time
they
to
did it in
move
Hell in
into
a
the
Cell.
21st century. But I mean, it's time to move into the 21st century and like start realizing that not all of your fans are fucking 15-year-old kids living in their mommy and daddy's basement with perfect vision.
WWE is more about the entertainment values than they are about who has autism or who they don't care
It's- I
about
mean,
people on that.
It's not a demographic
Well,
that's
that's the
going to be
problem.
financially viable for them.
That's the problem.
Money.
That's just the way WWE's been. That's the way they'll always be. They will never change. Never.
And
I
when
mean,
they
they
do
complained
change,
last year with the red cell. They did it again this year
Oh,
and then
God.
added the red light. That made
Okay,
it.
I will say
Oh,
that
awful.
I will say that at least the red light with the red cell was a little bit better because last year when they had just the red cell with the regular light, that fucked my eyes big time.
Okay. But
WWE does change. They'll change like 5 years too late and say, we're doing it for the people.
Yeah.
I don't care about the lights. Yes, it fucking bothers me. It
It
takes
just
me
looks
out.
stupid.
It is.
It takes me out. That's it. It just
the finish. I look now. It's happening. It's happening as we speak. People are fucking hating this because, well, this isn't how I wanted it to happen. Well, how the fuck?
I can't
did you
understand how
want it to
people
happen?
like it. I don't understand how anybody likes this.
Okay, but here's the thing. I liked it, except for the fact that I knew immediately that, well, fuck, what now? Because they were going to have 2 titles on SmackDown. So I knew that one of 2 things were going to happen. Either Bray was going to drop the title immediately, either that or Brock was going to be forced to go to Raw. And both of those scenarios, I was kind of like, well, how the hell are they going to do this with the draft just happening? Well,
To me,
as we've
this is
seen
3
last night, we
strikes.
figured out how they did it. But
Well, that just because that's what happened Friday night doesn't mean that that's what's going
to happen, right?
To me, this was the 3 strikes. You're out. He was already out anyway, but like, it mismanagement of his character to begin with. Then you have him go in Hell in a Cell and lose off some fucking tomfoolery, only to go and put it on the title on him anyway. It's like, why take? You took 7 extra steps to say he's dead.
Well, and the thing
when
is,
you did this, like, oh, fuck him.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Hell in a Cell, was that before or after the draft?
Before.
Oh, yeah.
Right
So
before.
okay, so it was before the draft. So if they would have put the title on Bray to begin with, then they could have avoided all of this
You
shit.
see why
This is a makeup.
Fucking
this shit is a makeup.
It's essentially to appease the fans. The fans got what they fucking wanted. Now
Yeah, they're trying to backpedal.
Now WWE's got to fix the fucking bullshit because the fucking fans think that they know what is fucking right. They don't know what's right. This was the wrong fucking move. And everybody that thinks it was the right fucking move is a fucking idiot because it's the wrong
And I agree
fucking
with you
move.
100%. I'm sorry, I agree 100%. It
Bray
was the wrong move because he can't be booked. What the fuck? Who's gonna beat him? A tractor trailer?
Bray
For
should have
fuck's
never.
sakes, he's unstoppable.
Bray should have never been booked in a match with the champion at this point.
Exactly.
But now that it's happened, we literally need Optimus Prime to come down from the heavens to fight this motherfucker. Otherwise, there's literally no way he's losing.
I'm just shocked that they actually let Seth lose. Like, they kept building him up and building him up and building him up, and now it's like,
You know why they let him
essentially, with this fucking, with what happened here, you have essentially killed 3 characters with 1 stone.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Seth Rollins, go. I honestly think I'm going to see Seth Rollins in the mid card because that's where he belongs. His title run was fucking trash. Left, right, and center. It's part him too because left, right, and center, he's being involved in everything Becky Lynch is doing, which makes him look like a little bitch. And then on top of that, he's so vocal on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, you are atrocious as a champ. Focus on that shit before you start talking trash.
Yep.
Well, and the thing is, I can totally understand how. Okay, he was asked at that press conference about AEW. I can understand what he said there because he was asked that question. But I have seen him go on social media and like verbally attack Kenny Omega with no provocation. Or I've seen him attack AEW with no provocation. He attacks the fans with no provocation. It's like
he's more interested in Twitter than his fucking actual career going on in the ring. Like, his title run sucked ass. And it was for what? Why kill Brock? Why hurt Brock Lesnar like that for that?
Mm-hmm. And I can completely understand, like I said, I can completely understand Seth being a WWE guy because that's his company. That's where he works. That's where he's been for a long time. So I can completely understand him saying, hey, no, WWE is the best in the world because as we said before, JP, he'd be a fucking idiot not to. That's his company. That's his employer. He has to say that WWE is the best in the world. But for him to go online and attack people with no provocation.
Well, now in his defense, what did Kenny Omega say?
Kenny Omega can't stop saying shit.
That's true. That's
you
true.
have to take it with.
It's not no provocation.
You can't have cake and eat it too. And I'm not.
True.
Kenny Omega came out and said, and what is NXT? It's part of WWE, right? And and Seth Rollins said in that interview with Corey Graves, the WWE, believe it or not, whether anybody wants to fucking believe it or not, WWE is the top of the mountain. Seth Rollins was at the top of that mountain. So what is he supposed to do? Just let Kenny Omega say that fucking NXT superstars would be in a dark match to his main event? Shut the fuck up. I would have said the same thing.
That's complete bullshit. Because Kenny Omega is not even like if I had to draft from any company, I would not pick Kenny Omega first. Until you can be that good, you can't talk about dark matches for other people.
Oh, what 6 months will do to Canadian Basement's decisions.
Yeah, well, no, I would never. The thing is, I would never pick him first for a company because he can't speak on the mic. He could never speak on the mic.
This coming from the guy that was so angry that he didn't come out at Royal Rumble this past year.
And I had good reason why, and
so
I said
angry.
why. But I said why. I don't think he's gonna have the run he could have had in WWE and AEW because it's more of the same. He could have actually become a better overall talent being in WWE and learning to talk and going through the ropes properly than going to AEW and essentially being the same Kenny Omega I saw for the last 5 years.
Well, the thing is, he knows how to talk. He just overacts.
He needs to stop doing that.
He doesn't know how to act at all. All he does is like his eyes go wide and he says a bunch of bullshit and he sounds like a fucking lesbian.
7-year-old.
So I mean,
anyway.
Wait, I was gonna ask before we go on. I was gonna ask, what would you guys think if Brock Lesnar never lost to Seth Rollins and kept the title and eventually lost to the Fiend at like WrestleMania?
I'd have been okay with that.
Yep.
Depending on how they did it, though.
Well, technically, along the lines of what we were saying, you slowly build up the Fiend to beat multiple people as time goes on, and then maybe he wins the Rumble or something, or he gets a chance in some other way.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it.
So why give it to Seth Rollins just for him to lose it?
Another reason that I had a problem with this is how many fucking matches has this guy had?
How many matches is he gonna have now that he's champion? We got Brock Lesnar and the Fiend, absentee championships. I see in front of me.
I do too. And people are gonna fucking why aren't they showcasing the Fiend? Because he's the champion, and I've said it, and I agree with it. Champions should not be showcased all the fucking time.
No, and that's the issue with Seth is he was on like so much, having like matches every week.
Everybody wanted to see the champion every fucking week.
Seth is a perfect IC champion.
Mm-hmm. Because he's there all the time. He could be a fighting IC champ, where I would be fine watching him myself.
Shawn Michaels. And even Shawn Michaels wasn't there all the time. I don't think champions in general should be there all the time at all.
Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't just that he was showcased. I mean, he'd be on every hour, or he'd be on in the beginning, and then he'd be in the main event match.
He pulled double duty all the fucking time.
Right. He was constantly on every week, the 3 hours, every hour on the 3-hour show, or you'd see him in the beginning doing a promo, which would lead to a main event match.
But I still don't know his character. I still have no idea who he is.
Yeah. But the thing is, what did we want? We wanted Seth Rollins. Well, I didn't want it, but we wanted Seth Rollins to be the fucking champion.
I wanted Brock Lesnar.
The fans got it, and they're like, I don't fucking want this. What the fuck?
No, it was the same with Becky. We want Becky. Look what she's done. They wanted Cody.
She's getting there. She's getting there.
SummerSlam was the beginning of the end for me because they seem to just take every wrong step after that pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the reason why they're taking so many wrong steps is they have too many writers. There's too many damn writers, and when you have that many writers and that many voices going into a script, it becomes very oversaturated. Yep. And then you get the shit that we've had lately. I mean, JP, I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but look at SmackDown last night.
Oh, we'll talk.
One person wrote that show. We'll talk about it later.
And it was
They don't have their finger on the pulse of the social media. They react after something has happened and try to fix it instead of understanding where the world is going or what social media is going with or what fans want and know when to take advantage versus when to not. They seem to be lost in that respect. Whoever is in charge of that part of the company is completely failing them.
I feel too like a lot of it's reactionary, where it's like, okay, we're going to do something, we're not going to listen to what our fans want, and then everybody backlashes, and then we get stuff like, again, like Bray winning the title. That was just reactionary because everybody was pissed because of how he was being booked. Like they don't they aren't proactively trying to think about what would be best booking. They're just doing things in the moment and then trying to backpedal and fix it.
Yeah, there's no future booking.
Well, most stories are written with a fan base in mind, but they don't write beginning, end, and conclusion to satisfy that fan base completely. Sometimes being unsatisfied in a story is as good as being satisfied in a story. You need to be able to understand when you should and when you shouldn't. And they seem to be completely fucking lost in that aspect.
Right. Yep, and I agree. But Bray Wyatt winning the title, I have one question, and I think we've actually answered that one question. And I'm talking to all the fans out there, even the fucking idiots that think this was a good idea. And I'm not talking about anybody that watches us. I don't know of anybody that watches us that thinks that this was a good idea. Where do you go with Bray Wyatt from here? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. We'll talk about it week by week. But that's a question, because I know, Basement, you've said it. What are you going to do with this guy? What are you going to do with Bray Wyatt now that he is the champion? It's here. I am waiting for the day. And it's already started. I don't want him as champion.
How are you going to package him as the head of your company when he's carrying around severed heads?
You can't. That's the thing.
That's why I don't understand how they're going to package him as a champion. That's it.
Well,
okay,
you
so
gotta remember
they will work until Survivor Series, but either Brock Lesnar or Bray Wyatt, that title has to move to someone that's going to be there on a night-to-night basis or close enough to it, because I know the fans will riot if both championships aren't defended nightly.
Yep. Because that's the way
or at
the
least
fans
one
are
of two.
today. That's the way the fans are today.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll shit on that because it's being defended every fucking week. It's like, well, don't you want to save this for pay-per-views? No, because you motherfuckers, you wanted this shit.
No. Establish a base where you do not show the champion. Like a champion should not wrestle nightly. Sometimes you have a back-to-back, and yeah, they wrestle 1 week and the next, but then give them a couple nights off. And like literally, I want to see a champion wrestle 1 to 2 times a month, and then at the pay-per-view.
But I think with Bray, they have that opportunity to do that because he does a lot of promo work and a lot of packages. And I think that's probably where they're going to go with that.
Here's the thing. Here's another thing that really fucking annoys the shit out of me about this Bray Wyatt. The Fiend is never... he says, let me in one fucking time, and he does that stupid fucking laugh. And people are like, well, put Bray Wyatt on fucking SmackDown and put the Fiend on Raw. Well, you're going to put the Fiend on Raw, who's the champion, and he's not going to say anything except let me in.
He's going to have no promos.
And fucking laugh. And then everybody's going to be like, well, how come the Fiend don't say anything? Because Bray Wyatt's over on SmackDown, so it'd be stupid to separate the fucking two.
Not only that, they call him the Fiend Bray Wyatt.
Exactly.
He has a split personality. That's what it is. That's what Bray Wyatt's character is. He has a split personality. He has an alter ego, so to speak.
So you look at everybody that's held the championship recently. There are a reason we saw Kofi Kingston, Seth Rollins as much as we did. Merch sales. Brock Lesnar doesn't need to be there. He's one of those only talent that doesn't need to really be there to sell merch. His merch will sell regardless because he actually has acumen in the wrestling industry. Nobody else is built up like he has been, even though he's taken his hits. Mm-hmm. He's still legitimate. The Fiend will be showcased rarely in the ring still, and still a lot, and he, on the promo package and shit like that. And he'll sell. He is literally a merch machine.
All of his merch is sold out. Every time I go on to go look, it's like sold out, back ordered.
He's sold out, back ordered. He's the New Day. And but they were champions for fucking decades.
But how are you going to have Bray Wyatt go and do morning television?
Can't.
He doesn't have to.
But he's the champ. That's what they do with their champions for
Not all of
He's
them.
WWE.
already done
I don't
it.
know. When was the last time Brock
Yeah.
Lesnar did morning television?
No, but actually, Bray Wyatt is
His weather report.
he's actually really, really good with being on the news because they had him on there. What was
Oh yeah,
it?
he'll just be his
doing
Heather,
Heather,
was it
Steve Rogers
SummerSlam?
or Mr.
Was
Rogers
it-
shit.
Yeah, was it SummerSlam? He was on there and he was the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt, but in the same sense, he kind of had that dark.
He'll be Mr. Rogers with like wanting
Am
to
I on
eat your
mute?
soul.
No,
No,
we
we
can hear
can.
you. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about Ray Wyatt. We established that. I don't care. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I just wish that they would focus more on the mid titles again, like the IC Championship and the US Championship. Like, let's put more focus on them fighting every week.
That's a lot.
Well, they kind of done that with AJ Styles, but
with AJ Styles. Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't defended the title in fucking like a year.
And he has the IC title. Like, that blows my mind. That should be Seth's title.
No, I think
Seth
it's
Rollins
good
should
where it's
not
at.
Seth Rollins should come out fucking changing Becky Lynch's tampons.
Pretty much.
What the fuck? Okay.
Wow.
No, but what I was saying with Bray Wyatt real quick earlier, because my mic was messing up, but they've had him on morning shows before, and he's the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt, but he also has that little bit of the Fiend with him as well, and it worked great.
Okay, yeah, you already said that.
Did it come through? God, sorry, my mic's going nuts.
It's all right. You're fine. Just telling you, you're repeating yourself, but it's okay.
Oh, whatever.
He'll be Mr. Rogers and whatever.
Whatever. Now you know twice.
Okay, no, you're good. Shit. Calm the fuck down.
The more you know.
So the only thing that
That's
kind of
easy.
shocked me about this whole pay-per-view, just as we're like wrapping up on Crown Jewel, was they actually did things to kind of propel storyline. Like some of the booking decisions actually, I think, like will carry through. Or like other Crown Jewels and other like pay-per-views over there, it's been like non-cater, right? Like it's just been like random matches.
Storyline I'm just gonna ask. What storyline?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar, and they worked again. Like we have new champions. Like it. At least it's something that they're going to be able to allude back to, and it's going to make sense. It's not just going to be like we're going to Saudi Arabia and having random matches,
Well,
like the battle royales. Like they're at least going to carry on with that too, where they're going to be, showing the OC with like this like championship like trophy and.
But they did that with Braun Strowman when he won too. They like
and then the belt
jumped him out with that
disappeared.
fucking ridiculousness.
Well, the belt was never really gonna be.
He had that scimitar fucking championship that broke in 2 seconds.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that because Trek made a stupid joke about it.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Well, the
Again,
trope is the stupid joke anyway.
And it wasn't even a joke. He just said words came out of his mouth.
Again, I just wanted to say, like, I think they did a lot more with this pay-per-view than I thought they were going to. Like, if somebody missed this pay-per-view and didn't, like, watch it, yeah, you could hear about it, but, like, I think that there's things that people would be missing out on for sure.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Well, now they got to build a Survivor Series, but let's go back. Let's talk about Raw. There's a couple of things on Raw that I do want to talk about. Kabuki Warriors came out because they actually started the show. Kairi Sane wrestled Becky Lynch. Kairi Sane actually looked really good in that match. She made Becky look here, in my opinion, but that's just me. Before that, Paige came out. She's back. And Asuka and Kairi were kind of, you could see what was gonna happen. And Kairi dropped the mic. Paige went to pick it up. Asuka blew green mist in Paige's face. I don't know what's coming of it. I just know that Paige is now separated. I was kind of thinking maybe Paige would have showed up just for a fleeting moment on NXT and help Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox win the titles. Just for a fleeting moment. I don't know what's going to become of that. And then, I know you guys don't like it. The Lana and Rusev was the highest rated segment. Sex sells, everybody.
Well, it's like you said, they wanted the Attitude Era back, so they got it.
JP Bobbitt's in the chat asking if you wanted the Meltzer rating for the Fiend match.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Bob. I forgot. All you gotta do is say something.
I'm on forgot belt.
Go ahead.
Alright. Before I read them off, I want to say something about the red lighting here.
Go ahead.
Welcome to 2019, because apparently Virtual Boy lighting is apparently good. Who knew? Alright. Team Hogan versus Team Flair got 3.75, and Rollins and The Fiend got 2 stars.
I can buy into that.
Okay.
What did you think of what do you think? I always forget you two. I am sorry. Ronnie, you two, well, you haven't been here, but what did you guys think of the Bray Wyatt and fucking Rollins match?
I didn't care for it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, just
No,
based on where they're going to go with Bray, there's nothing really, like Basement said. I mean, you're going to have some invincible force to defeat him.
You're going to have Thanos show up or something. Whatever. Apparently, he's like got the fucking gauntlet glove or fucking whatever. Fuck that shit.
Right, unless they're going to pull one of those, okay, we did it over in Saudi, so now we'll put it back on Rollins.
They could. I'd actually laugh. I would actually laugh if Bray Wyatt had to relinquish the belt because he is a SmackDown talent.
Well, and like we were chatting with someone on Twitter and have them do a tournament, and then I put your third-time Universal Champion is going to be Seth Rollins.
Trek, what about you?
From the stuff I could see, it wasn't anything really big. It wasn't anything really special. Like I said, I didn't see that stuff on Twitter, so thank you for letting me know that they said that, because that red lighting needs to go. And I don't care what they say. Oh, he's undefeated with it. It's like, it gives me the biggest fucking migraine headache no matter what.
It may give you, like I said, and we've talked about it, and Gina's voiced it. I get it, but you got to remember, WWE does not think on that level.
They don't give a fuck about the fans, in other words.
They don't. They gave you the Fiend. What more the fuck do you want? That's their thinking.
I want to not have a migraine.
I get that. I understand what you were saying because it bothers me too. But I'm just thinking like WWE is thinking, if that makes sense. I wish they wouldn't do it, but they're going to, because they've said it on Twitter. The Fiend himself said it. He said the red light makes me invincible. Having it, so they're going to continue to do it. Just the way it is.
It's just like you took it's just an extra step to help. Like I already have to be like suspending my disbelief to watch this fucking character exist.
Yeah.
Now I have to watch him in red lighting for some reason. It's just another hurdle.
Yep.
Stop making hurdles, for fuck's sake.
I agree with you. Whatever happened to him having to fight within his self?
That went away real fast.
Yeah. But
that was probably the best idea for the character too, that we all came up with, and then they went opposite.
Yeah.
Where he's an unstoppable force.
He's not fighting with himself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's fucking shoving Rambling Rabbit on his ass, and he comes back to life.
It reminds me of Captain Planet, man. Unstoppable force.
Right?
Heart.
What are your takeaways from Raw? Raw Monday? Did anybody watch it? I know
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
I skipped through.
Yeah. But like I said, Lana Rusev, highest rated.
I found it fucking weird. They're making out on top of Rusev, on the ground, like he's dead for some reason.
Awkward. It's a little awkward.
Well, and to even make this storyline believable, because you've seen it on Twitter too, she's sitting there complaining that he was a sex addict and all he wanted from her, but all segments with Lashley are sexual.
Yeah, sex addict to have sex with someone else.
It didn't make any sense. It was stupid.
The funniest thing too is if you look at Rusev during the whole segment, he's literally in there smiling. I see him checking out fucking Lana the whole time. I'm like, all right, I guess you're just on board with this. I'm assuming.
Right now, if you notice, I'm just so Raw was done. I did watch NWA Power. Me and Ronnie were talking. I think it was, when was that? Thursday.
Wednesday
or
night.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Watching NWA Power brings me back to my childhood. The old TBS Channel
And there's a lot of
17, like
penises
Jim
involved.
Cornette says. Yes, I'm a Jim Cornette fan. I always have been, and I always will be.
Fucking hate Jim Cornette.
No, you don't. You don't.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes,
Are there a lot of penises on NWA Power?
I do.
No,
There's not a lot of flippy
I
shit.
thought it brought you back to your childhood.
there's definitely not a lot
Oh
of
my
flippy
god,
shit.
face man. Jesus fuck.
There's definitely not a lot of flippy shit on fucking NWA Power. In fact, there's none of it, to be honest with you. The wrestling is really good, and like I said, if you go back and watch the network, they have some of those on there. It's WCW Saturday Night, I think it was. Is that right, Ronnie? And it was
Yes.
on for an hour, and they're in the exact same studio that they did this in, and it's bands maybe like 250, 300 people, and they have the setup like they did with Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross, or Jim Crockett and Gordon Soley when he was there up until the time he retired. It's just the ring. I don't like the ring, like the noise stuff. I had an issue with Impact with the fucking ring. And
Is it
how-
really loud and like
Yeah.
tinny?
It is. You're gonna have to
I know
turn.
what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? You can hear everything. But the problem that I had with Impact when I watched Bound for Glory is you could hear the referee just take little steps. It was that loud. Microphone.
Yeah,
was
I hate when I can hear like the tinniness of the ring,
Yeah.
like when someone takes a hit and you literally hear the springs. Who's on the roster?
Well, you have Nick Aldis,
Nick Aldis.
Okay.
Colt Cabana,
Tim
Oh,
Storm.
that's Colt
James
Cabana's over
Storm.
there now?
James Storm.
James
Yep.
Storm.
Sandow.
Huh?
Sandow's on there?
Sandow.
on,
but he
David-
goes by
Da-
Aaron Stevens.
Aaron Stevens. It's Aaron Stevens is his name. They use their real names,
Right,
by
but-
the way.
Right, but
Oh.
he's Damian Sandow in WWE, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's gonna stay that way.
Yeah, Drake.
Eli Drake. God damn it. Eli Drake is on there. For the women, there's
Marty
Alice.
Scurll's on there, is he not?
No, but he's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah,
I think
he's
he's
still
coming.
ROH.
Okay,
I
because I,
think
saw
he's
a
coming.
picture of
I
him.
think he's
Spoilers.
Because they didn't they do something with him? Not
Well,
something with him.
ROH had their last pay-per-view Saturday night, and that was his last official match with Ring of Honor, supposedly.
I think he's coming because him and Nick Aldis are best friends. So I think that he might be coming there. From what I've been.
Eddie Kingston and Homicide were there. for
Eddie
the first
Kingston and
episode.
Homicide, for all of you people out there that love LAX, he's an original LAX. Better wrestlers, by the way.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Express show up.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Express show up every once in a while.
Mr. Anderson's been on.
Ken Anderson he's on the roster. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Kennedy.
Tim Storm.
For the women, Allison Kay, she's a pretty good wrestler.
Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa, and a couple of other. Marty Bell, she was in the Mae Young Classic. She's still as bad as she was. But the women's division, they're just developing that. It's really good wrestling. They're telling really good storylines like James Storm. And this is the thing. I've talked about this before. The national title, the NWA national title, which is equivalent to the U.S. title, that they changed it to, is a stepping stone to the NWA World Heavyweight title, which is the way it should be. In my opinion, you win that NWA national title, or you win that mid-card title, and if you happen to lose it, you should take that next step up, which means you're ready to take that next step up. I like that.
I agree. I also think like mid-card champions should have to be established for a certain amount of time before
Yes.
they're like kind of eligible. And it doesn't
Well,
need to be an actual like
the
you don't need to
thing-
count the days or anything,
The
but you
thing-
know what I mean.
Yep. The thing is that they mention that. They talk about that. You should hold this. You've held this title for so long, and I can't remember who it was that said it. I think it was Eli Drake. You hold that title for a long time, and then when you lose it, you take that next step. Don't forget about me. And they cut really good promos. The promos, it's like an interview process. Like Jim Cornette will
I
say,
gotta check it out, man.
it's
Like,
actually really good, and it's only like 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
Yeah.
55 minutes. A show.
I'll have to check it out to get the feel of it because I know what you guys are saying, but I can only like understand it unless I experience it.
So right now, the national and the champions are Alex and Kay are the champ. Alex and Kay is the women's champion. Nick Aldis is the NWA World Heavyweight title, and it's the original NWA World Heavyweight title belt. It's not the big gold belt. That everybody's so. That doesn't look like the fucking world title belt. No, that is the NWA World Heavyweight title. 10 pounds of gold, they called it.
Yeah, he's the world heavyweight, and then
James Storm. James Storm is the
National
NWA
heavy.
national champion, and then the wild cards, which is Bram and I can't think of the other guy's name. They are the tag team champions, and the belts actually look the tag team titles actually look really nice.
I like the AEW tag team titles too.
These are better in my opinion.
Gina just found a report here, which is actually the 10 quarter annual financials for WWE.
Yeah, they've lost money. I know.
Cash flows from operating activities. Cash generated from the operating activities was $2.3 million in the 9 months ended September 30th, 2019, as compared to the $121.5 million the corresponding period in the prior year. $119.2 million decrease is the current year period. In the current year period was primarily driven by the timing of collections associated with our Super Showdown event, which was held in the second quarter of 2019, combined with lower operating performance and the increased payout of management incentive compensation in the current year.
So it's actually
It's
true.
real. They did not get paid.
They did not get paid. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if you want to be in a 10-year deal with somebody that doesn't pay you,
Right.
but
Well,
to each their own.
Not to continue on this, but I was just reading Carl Anderson's wife. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened over there, but his wife does not want him to go back under any circumstances.
Yeah, he posted a video too of him like coming back like home on Twitter too. It was kind of like, okay, this feels kind of awkward.
But I'm sorry, I know you guys are talking about something
There's
else.
something weird going on there, and eventually it will come to light.
Yes. Let WWE figure it out, though. It's not for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, you don't want to put the talent through that just to get paid. I mean, I would think they would want to get paid before putting talent through that again or something much worse.
Well, that's on WWE. I still don't know what exactly happened, and I don't know. Like the thing is, like speculating from so far a distance can only do one thing, and that's create conspiracy theories.
Yeah, and
I like conspiracy theories.
fuck that shit.
I hate them.
You shut up and just go along with my conspiracy
theories.
theories.
Conspiracy theories are a waste of time.
Anyways, but I'm sorry. I know you guys were talking NWA.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so check it out if you haven't. I'm actually watching it. They come on at 6:05 on Tuesday, I think it is for us. So it'll be 7:05 for you. But it comes on YouTube.
To watch it.
The thing is, it comes on YouTube. That is the only platform that they have. Now, I have heard that they're trying to strike a deal. I don't know when that deal, if ever, will happen.
Excuse
but
me, sorry.
it's on YouTube. So it's not like being the elite where you have to watch this and then AEW actually has a 2-hour show. They could actually give us vignettes of what happened on.
But they're doing that now. Well,
No,
they're
they're
not doing that, but the storylines are starting to make sense on AEW now that they're a few shows in.
No, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, because on Tuesday nights, the NWA Power comes on, and then that's followed by the AEW Dark,
which I don't care for.
which is
I will not
through
watch.
YouTube as well.
Yeah, I don't.
I like the
AEW
name,
Dark,
though.
you're missing out,
I don't
JP, because like
care.
seriously,
I don't care.
there's some good fucking matches on there.
I
I'm
don't
just saying.
care. I watch
I will
enough
say-
wrestling as is.
That's your fault.
No, it's
I
not.
actually like the name of NWA Power and even AEW Dark more than I like the name of AEW Dynamite.
But
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Dynamite, but
Um,
AEW Dynamite.
Yeah,
Dynamite.
but so
Well, it's basically because of the channel they're on. It's TNT.
It's
So they
Dynamite.
They
Yeah,
kind of
that-
just went with,
them
yeah.
being cheesy. I get it.
Yeah.
It started with Nitro.
But yeah. So speaking of AEW, I like I said, I'm only going to talk about a couple of things because I don't want to spend 5 hours talking about fucking
Talk
AEW
about the whole
again
show.
like we did
Let's do
last
it.
week. The two things that I took away, Cody and Jericho did a signing. That was probably the best segment of the night for me. I enjoyed it. Jericho in his fucking
Jack-o'-lantern?
pumpkin fucking suit.
Oh my
was
god,
great.
that suit jacket.
Fucking pumpkin suit jacket, no shirt.
And he
Just a complete
shaved.
fucking
It looked
douchebag.
weird.
I loved him. I loved him shaved. I don't give a fuck.
No, he looks like a friggin' like creeper mask, like somebody you'd
Oh,
find
he's
in your
always-
bush outside.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I don't
As long as
care
he's
if he
wearing that
shaved.
jacket.
I don't care if he shaved. It's Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho can do whatever the fuck he wants. In that segment, I don't know if it's legit that Dustin Runnels broke his hand, but I'm just gonna
Nah.
say this: why in the fuck did he stick his hand in the fucking door?
Well, it's the same thing for everything else. Like whenever they do those fucking door segments in any other WWE specifically, they always like stick their hand or something. It's like, why would you do that? So it can get broken, dude.
I know, right?
What did you think of that Brandy Rose segment where she became a fucking priestess of
I
the night?
actually liked it.
I liked it.
It literally makes no sense for a character.
Myself
But
in
Okay,
the
but
face
here's
with
the
a
thing.
soldering
Here's the
iron.
thing. She actually tweeted out. I'm not sure if it was yesterday or today.
she found the
and-
darkness 2 days ago.
No. But she tweeted out, and it's a picture of her from when she was staring at herself in the mirror in that vignette. And she says, "You may think you know, but you have no idea." So she's got something. It's leading up to something, and it's going to be something that none of us are expecting.
Okay, so my question is, why was she going over corporate figures with Cody Rhodes in the kitchen of a multi-million-dollar house?
Because
And then
she's
literally the
an
next day,
executive too. Jesus, basement. Like,
So she's an executive voodoo priestess. Is this a
Um,
porno?
Man, gotta
hold
make a
on a
living.
second, though, basement. Hold on a second, though. Triple H was playing a badass in the ring at the same time that he was freaking working behind the scenes, freaking
Yeah.
in the business with
But he
Vince.
wasn't-
So what's the difference? Like,
There's a huge
difference is-
difference between those two characters.
The
It's like
difference is-
Undertaker is
No, no,
also
no.
the CEO of the company.
The
No, but
difference is that there was not a camera following Triple H around at the time.
Okay.
But if that's the case,
But that's on them.
Gina,
That's on
Gina.
them.
The difference is Triple H was that badass wrestler before he became the CEO.
Oh no, I completely agree with that. I'm just saying, like, she can't help it that she's an executive in the company as well. Like, that shouldn't mean that
She
she,
doesn't
can't
need
do
to be a
Here's
anything
the
but
thing.
wrestle.
Here's the thing. It's known, and she acts as such. If
And
you,
it's shown on camera as such.
yeah, and then she comes and does this. What is
She's
she
summoning fucking Kong
If-
out of the ground.
I don't know. I don't know.
If they want her to
My
have
question
like a
is-
gimmick and a role on TV, that's fine with me. But then pull back some of this real stuff that she's doing with the exec and keep that off of Twitter for a couple weeks. Like it's not
This
gonna hurt
reminds
you.
me a lot of Lucha Underground.
So Bobbit, I'm going to stop you right there before you piss me off. No, I'm kidding. Bobbit says in the chat that Dustin just wanted to experience the doors. That's why he stuck his hand in the door.
That could be, but next time say something. You have a voice, unless he left.
I just get interrupted.
And then
No,
the next
you just
night,
think-
of course, being Halloween, she's dressed as Minnie Mouse with her little dog as a little cowboy
Right?
in her
She-
hooker
she-
boots.
she is one of the worst. I'm sorry, but I feel like she's one of the worst things about AEW. She's not good in the ring. If she was just like the corporate side, I could get behind her as like a management character. But
maybe that's what they're trying to build to.
I
build to
know
what?
that
She
Shit,
needs a lot more work.
Oh my
I know
god.
that she wants to be a wrestler, but like if she wants to be a wrestler, then make her a baby face and have her do tag team wrestling for a while until she actually gets the hang of it.
Keep your
But no,
dreams
my
realistic.
point is maybe this whole gimmick is that she's, like she's the executive who's playing all the strings and like doing all the stuff. Maybe it's to take her away more from wrestling.
So
In the
she's
ring.
Stephanie McMahon.
Pretty much.
I just like the thing is like I can't. If it was like a TV show where it's not, I don't know. It's just the way wrestling is. I can't get behind this. Because everything is visible, and it's the way AEW is too. They're self-aware, so you can't do this and be self-aware. In my
Maybe
mind,
too, it was also the fact that, they were trying to do a themed episode. Like a lot of the episode this week was all Halloween themed. So maybe this is just a one-off.
well, the payoff's going to be in fucking December, unless she turns into Santa Claus.
My question is, why is it so far the only vignettes that have been made have been for the Elite?
Because they own the show.
Yeah, that'll only get you so far before people actually will complain.
Well, I disagree with that though, because they did do a vignette with Kip Saban, and that was the one where he said or if you beat the Elite, you become the Elite.
When was this?
Yeah, when was this?
During AEW.
When?
I don't remember it, to be honest. I'm sorry.
During the show. Was it a vignette or was it a backstage?
They
It
also
might have been a
did
backstage interview.
Vignettes for Orange Cassidy when he was coming over.
Fuck Orange Cassidy.
I love
Anyway.
Orange Cassidy. You shut your mouth.
Nope.
Love him.
I mean, okay, so I will say this as a show, AEW, I think this is like what I'm going to expect normally from them. I think it was their worst show, but also I think it was in the realm of how they should pace their show, because you can't go fucking staple your balls to the ceiling every day and think eventually, where do I go from here?
Right. I agree. Yeah, now I forgot what I was going to say.
There was a second thing that you liked.
Well, that is one of my things. I don't want to completely shit on the show because the only reason I'm gonna mention that is because I hated the fucking finish.
I thought the show was okay. I like a good 7 out of 10, maybe 6.5 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
It had better pacing than any other show they've done, in my mind.
Yes, that I can agree with.
I liked the theme of this week. I thought it was really, I don't know, that was cutesy.
I think we should
stuff they
kill
did.
Britt Baker. I think we should take her out in the
Yes,
back
they
and shoot her in the
didn't
head.
have Britt Baker. They did showcase more women.
I didn't like that match at all, though.
Why not?
It just felt flat to me.
Who was in it? It was like
It was the new girl from Portugal, and she just signed today a deal with them.
okay, so she's not great, and neither of these talents are like. I would give it more to. I can't remember her name. The other one,
The girl in the red.
Well, I like her, but it doesn't seem like they have like a ring general.
They don't.
They're missing out on a ring general, and they really need to hopefully get that because their women's division needs work.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Yeah. There's a couple of takeaways. I mean, and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega took on Kip Sabian and I don't know who the fuck they took.
I loved the entrances they did. They were so funny.
I don't know who the fuck they are.
They were Ken and Ryu, and he was Sans from fucking Undertale. It was good entrances. I enjoyed it. If you're, they are really focused on the certain demographic and YouTube hype and social media hype.
And I'm okay with that, but if you were to ask me, I would be like, I don't. What is this? A fucking inverted version of fucking Halloween?
But that's probably I don't think their demographic is really like teens.
And that's why they brought in Rick and Morty.
Very young adults, yeah.
Like if this were 15 years ago, it would have been Family Guy.
Like
I've
it's
never
just,
seen Rick and Morty, so I don't know.
Rick and Morty's a fun show. It has a huge cult following, so it's ripe for the picking, and they worked it in well, so it's good for them. They're targeting a different
It was
audience.
one of my favorite.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
Bobby.
that's because the
Go ahead,
premiere's
Bobby.
coming on November 10th, so they were kind of hyping for that too.
Go ahead, Bobby. What did you say?
It's one of my favorite shows.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dude.
it's super hyped between like I'm gonna say 15-year-olds to 30-year-olds. Is probably where it's hyped on and it starts and begin. I like the show. I think it's genius for what it does in terms of like cartoon shit. But I think it's a right fit for AEW. They're kind of pinpointing where they go, and it's very intelligent. The one thing I hated, this was also the show that they fucking debuted the titles, right?
Yeah. So we're getting to that.
Yep.
We're getting to that. So now the really bad, and I am going, and I'm gonna let Basement go on a rant with this because I know he did on Wednesday, on my channel. When you debut a title, go ahead, Basement.
Okay. So it is the first ever title for a brand new company. Do you want to build prestige, or do you want to use it as a prop to build up a team? And you have them setting up to build prestige with it was the who came out, the Rock and Roll Express.
Yep.
Yeah.
Came out with the titles, and they're ready to do something. Like I would have preferred, and this is just me, and it's not for everybody, but I would have preferred them to come out, showcase it. I would have preferred them hand it to the champions once the champions had won. Why they were coming out at this point, I don't know. But they just get attacked by LAX or Pride and Prideful or whatever the fuck they call it.
The pride and the proud and
Proudful?
prideful.
Okay,
The same
which is
fucking thing.
fuck-
It's
the
almost
Vikings.
worse than the Viking Raiders.
But I don't like the idea of using the championships before the championships have been established as tools to get a tag team over, because those championships are here to stay. That team is not.
Correct.
They might stay forever for the rest of their career, but at the same time, they're never going to be bigger than the titles they hold. The titles they hold make them bigger. So having that happen and hyping it up, like as soon as I heard they were using a nostalgia piece, I did not want them to do it this way. I wanted them to just come out and showcase the belt and give the belt to the champions, build some prestige over the titles. Instead, the titles are on the ground. And I know we got into this huge debate of how people use titles, but I don't think it really applies to this because it's not necessarily the same as holding a title and doing whatever you want with it. But it's the first ever tag team titles. Let them be prestigious. Don't throw them on the ground before in effort to build up LAX's attack. What real heat did they get from this?
Like, and that's the thing too, is like normally when you think of belts that have been premiered, like even through WWE, usually it's on a big podium and there's like a fancy carpet down and there's like all this prestige. And it's like, oh my gosh, they should have done something like that. And if they wanted to use these guys, to kind of get some cheap heat, then you do it away from the belts. You do it as they're walking to the ring and you leave the belts completely separate from the whole situation. I think we knew last week when we talked about them bringing them in for this, that there was going to be some shenanigans, but I didn't think they were going to actually have the belts in their hand and then we would see them on the ground. It's like, okay, that's just showing me that LAX didn't care about the belts either, which is a weird thing because obviously they want to hold the belts. So why would you have them on the ground? Like if you're going to beat them up, fine, but it feels weird.
Yep.
Feels like it's just an improper setup.
What I'm saying is before you've built any form of prestige for these belts, and you literally spent time building it by making a tag team tournament, building up to this point, you have them come in, and the people that are going to display the belts, they attack. They're not even in the tournament. They're definitely going to be contending with whoever wins. But at the same time, it's like
they didn't make it feel like a big
pop.
It didn't feel like a big pop in circumstance like it should have been. If they were going to have this big thing, as you said, like this big tournament, like they could have been like, look at these beautiful belts and revealed them. And like, I just feel it was a lost opportunity because those belts are beautiful. And I feel like they should have tried to exploit them a little bit more. Like,
I would have done what WWE has done with like the Cruiserweight Classic or something like that, where you literally come out and you have the belt on the podium and the wrestlers walk in and they look at it and they're like, oh, that should like build some prestige to the title before you throw it in the dirt. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
it just seems like a bad way to introduce.
NXT does a really good job of this. What Basement's saying. They put the like on a table or on a pedestal or whatever, and then people walk by that title.
Because it's supposed to be the object of your affection, and if you're a tag team and you're attacking somebody and allowing those belts to hit the ground, like it's obviously not an object of your affection at all, or something that you desire. It's just like a prop at that point.
Now there is a way that they could have told the storyline a bit better if they had segments about LAX being pissed off about not being included in the tag team shit and saying that they are the best in the world, and then there was a segment where I still don't agree with it that much, but if they had to go this way, there's a way to book it that they did not go with. Right. Instead, they just didn't say anything and came out and attacked a bunch of fucking old assholes and threw the belts on the ground, and that was that.
Yeah.
Again, if they would have done this and they would have like done a whole segment with the belts and then later on they would have done this backstage, I would have been fine with that. But it's just the way that they did it. It just didn't. It made them feel like the belts weren't important. Like if somebody was watching this and they didn't know a lot of like the past AEW couple episodes, they would have been like, "Oh, okay, what's the big deal?" It's like, okay, there's belts. What's the big deal? Like you had no idea that they were new belts.
I'm sorry, I just came back in. Are you guys talking about the tag team belts?
Yes.
Yeah. When they were first introduced by the Rock and Roll Express.
Well, here's my question. Why were they being introduced before the match even
It didn't make
happened?
sense. I said that too. It doesn't make sense for them even to come out like this.
Yeah. At the moment,
No, it made no
sense. Because when they brought them out, I don't mind them introducing them.
To put them on something and walking away?
Before the match, but an hour before the match?
Right.
Yeah, it felt super planned and super generic.
Yep.
Okay, so outside of that, how do you feel like they built up to these tag belts? They've literally made a tournament about them. To have them being introduced that way, just
and they weren't even really presented to SCU at the end of the show because like they didn't have enough time. So they basically just threw. Yeah, sorry.
This is fine. No, because that's next. But you're doing a lead-in. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, they basically just like threw the titles at SCU when they won. If in case you didn't know who won, SCU won. But they basically just threw them at him and like, here you go. And then the show went off the air. Like they have got to get better with their timing.
They do.
I love AEW. I do. I absolutely love AEW. But they have got to get better with their timing. Like they have producers backstage now. There is no reason why the show should be cutting short.
They put more pomp and circumstance on the whole Chris Jericho signing than they did the new unveiling of the belts.
Exactly.
Well, now with that being said, I'm going to say this: you have to make the world title.
Yeah,
more important
that's got to be.
But that was just a signing, though.
Not when but it's also the unveiling of a brand new title.
I understand that, but the world title is the most important title.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but they took more time and effort into doing a signing and then had this beautiful set up and everything versus the belts that were just unveiled that you've had a tournament on for the last 3 episodes.
I can understand that, but again, what's more important, the world title or the tag team titles?
How much time have they been putting an emphasis on the tag team belts, though?
No,
I personally feel like with AEW's roster as well, they need to present the tag team titles as being as close to the world title as possible.
Yeah, because there's no mid.
Because the roster is built that way. But they did not do that.
Even when they first introduced the company, the Young Bucks made it a point to mention the tag team division is going to be just as important as the world title.
I'm not saying a championship. Never mind. I'm not even gonna fucking try to goddamn explain it.
No, what you're basically saying is the world title. No matter what, a world title, a singles world title, in my opinion, will always be bigger than a tag world title. It has to be because you're always gonna have that one face that heads the company. But I also feel like their tag team division should take the place of the IC title.
Yeah.
In WWE.
For right now, they should include a mid-card title at some point.
Oh, I'm not saying they shouldn't have a mid-card, but they have to promote that tag team like it's second coming to the main event, right?
And again,
I agree.
What should have happened? Go ahead, Dory.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say what should have happened was they should have had the Rock and Roll Express come out bring the belts out right before the fucking match, put them on something, stand next to the ring or whatever, and watch the match unfold. And then as soon as SCU wins, they get in the ring, present the titles, and then they get attacked. Because then SCU could have been attacked by the Lucha Bros, and then Santana and Ortiz could have came out and attacked them, the Rock and Roll Express. It would have made much more sense. Everything would have flowed much better. And you still would have had that prestige of the titles.
I agree. That's what I thought was going to happen, but they just bring the titles out an hour. No, like an hour before the fucking match even happens. They bring the titles out, and then two old cougars get beat up.
And not to mention, you have fucking Ricky Mortensen acting like
Ricky Mortensen.
Acting like
Ricky
Kyle O'Reilly.
Mortensen.
He looks like a Mortensen. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You have him acting like Kyle O'Reilly with the belt, and he's.
Yeah, well, that's Rock and Roll Express.
Well,
so.
And I'm sure you guys touched on this, but like the Young Bucks coming out, like the timing was way off with that. It just felt it felt super not botched, but it felt super generic, and you knew it was planned. Like I'm not stupid, okay? I know that wrestling is scripted, but the point of a good wrestling show is to make it feel like, as a fan, I should feel as if it's not scripted, as if this is just happening.
Yeah.
The whole point is to hide the scripting.
Yep.
In some ways, they have at times worse production value than Lucha Underground, which I'm very surprised about. Like you look at fucking the Young Bucks came out like they just walked out of fucking Spirit of Halloween.
And I think I do need to clarify. I know that before somebody out there jumps on me, AEW doesn't have scripts. I understand that they don't have scripts. The wrestlers work out their thing themselves. But whatever it was, the timing was off. And once again, the Young Bucks came out looking like fucking idiots.
Well, and this is why they should have some sort of
some sort of a script.
Storyboard.
Some sort of like, you know how bands
they have bullet
a stage
points.
set? No, I'm not talking about scripting.
Oh,
I'm not talking about cutting promos. I'm talking about
like the choreographing that the WWE has.
Like the production value of.
It's nowhere close. I'm going to tell you right now.
They should at least have some sort of, okay, we're doing this now. This segment is happening, so get ready, get real position. It's like, okay, go. And
the weird thing is, like, I've watched like episodes of Being the Elite where they show the behind the scenes footage, and they do that, so that's what feels so weird, because the producers, along with Cody, the Young Bucks, they're all always behind the screens, so they're the ones queuing everybody up, going, all right, get in gorilla position, get ready to go, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's like the Young Bucks purposely hold back a little bit. Like, they let their music play and then they hold back a little bit, so it just, the timing of everything that they do feels off.
And I'm gonna say this real quick. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this real quick before anybody jumps on us. I don't give a fuck what it's called in AEW. I've always known it as gorilla position, so it's gorilla position. Fuck off.
Mm-hmm. What, Dory?
I was just gonna say, like, again, I know this might sound kind of weird, but I can kind of forgive some of the timing issues that they're having, because they are still understanding the concept of having live shows.
Okay, I can't.
WWE,
I can't.
But
they've had these timing issues since All In.
Yeah, they have.
They've had time to fix it, and they just haven't.
But here's the thing: I can only do it for so long. I can, like, the first show, maybe the first 2 or 3 shows.
But here's the thing, though: everything else in the show, the timing is pretty damn good. It's for some odd reason, it's always when the Young Bucks come out.
Because the Young Bucks think that I don't know.
Man, in all honesty, just looking at the production value, if I have to compare WWE and AEW, it's night and day. AEW is very generic in its production. The sound's all fucked up.
Started.
But the thing is, like, people use that as an excuse, but they're on television.
But I don't. I don't understand what you're talking about with the sound, because I never have a problem with the sound.
So when I say the sound is fucked up, I mean when you have an entrance and I can hardly hear the entrance music, you're using a certain way of recording audio that literally makes it hard to hear, where you can get away with like copyright claims that people might do. And New Japan does it all the time.
Yeah.
It has New Japan audio, and it takes away from the entertainment value, because the entertainment
Mhm.
value that people are understanding here is WWE. The
But would
certain
that
things from
be-
WWE they should take, and certain things they should leave behind, and they haven't taken the things they should.
But
in
is
my
that-
mind, in terms of entertainment. But sorry.
But is that fully up to AEW, or is it also like the fact of the channel that they're on?
No, that's
Well,
AEW.
Like, okay, like Basement, I do understand what you're saying, because like, okay, Cody Rhodes' entrance, for example, he comes out and you can't even hear, like, you know, the part where it's like wrestling has more than one blah 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 family blah blah blah.
They're recording from inside the arena, not recording the audio. It's the way that it's produced. They have to record. They have to actually play the audio separate of the inside the arena recording. You have to separate the two,
Yeah,
so that
and
the audio comes through as like if you were listening to a song, and then you also have it paired with the audio from the arena.
yeah, like I don't hear Cody Rhodes' music. I think is the one that sticks out the most to me, because I do know that song so well, and you can't hear like them talking at the beginning, and then you can barely hear the song when it goes off. And he has far too much pyro. I mean, I love
Well-
pyro just as much as anybody else, but there's far too much fucking pyro with it.
That's my other talking point, because I think the pyro, like you look at the wrestlers that enter, they all get the same pyro, variations of the exact same pyro. It's not actually like it's rigged up to be. This is how the show opens, and we're going to use those 10 different variations of pyro that are already
Except for
rigged.
Cody Rhodes.
Well, no, he gets the show opening pyro.
Exactly, he gets everything.
I do want to say this, and I want to finish my thought, and then we'll move on. I can't give them a pass because how long have these guys been around wrestling?
The
Long
elite
enough.
themselves their whole life.
So
The
that
truth is,
being
JP,
said, they've been backstage. They've actually run a couple of shows before they even started the TV shows. So I can't give them a pass on the simple little things. And some
think,
of these
though,
things
that's
that
where
they
Cody-
do make mistakes on are the simple little things.
But they should hire people to do the simple little things so that they're not
I
spreading
agree
themselves too
with
thin.
you, and they probably do.
And I
That-
think that's the issue, is you shouldn't have them sitting in gorilla. Like they're spreading themselves way too thin, and then they're also being on-air talent. Like you need people who are watching the little details and dealing with production values instead of dealing with everything. And I think that's the issue.
but doing a YouTube channel called Being the Elite and being in-ring wrestlers and being the heads of a company, like you are wearing way too many hats. Like you just said, you're spreading yourself too thin.
Yep.
But I will say, like the thing that I'm most concerned with AEW is that they are focused way too much on cheap heat, easy pops without storytelling, telling us why it's happening.
Feels like a Mick Foley comedy special.
See, it doesn't feel like that to me, because again, yell at me if you want to, guys, but I've
No,
watched the
in
other
certain
shows,
ways
and
that they have.
but
they have built.
it's not that I watch the other shows now, because now the show is kind of starting to build off of itself now that they've been on for a while. But I've been watching the Elite for so long that I've literally been around from the very start of most of their storylines or their characters or whatever. So when they do these storylines, it makes sense to me.
I mean, there's a certain run where they are building correctly, and I do see it. But at the same time, there's like even like the whole contract signing tonight whenever we last saw AEW was fun. But again, what is the contract about? Because it seems ridiculous to me.
It's about them being like they're
In a
signing
60-minute
contract
match
for
with
being
fucking 3
judges.
judges.
Yeah.
That's way too. This company should be focused on just basic shit for the most. They are literally putting out matches that.
Yeah, but when you get two talents like Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho,
The
I
feud
mean, these
doesn't call
guys
for it.
can do a match like this.
No.
Now, if they would have
No.
had
I don't
like Sammy
I don't wanna-
Guevara
Jericho.
and fucking MJF, then I would have been like, what the hell?
So,
you honestly think
I don't want to
Jericho
see
can
Jericho
wrestle?
wrestle for 60 minutes. First of
I
all.
I think they're
Either.
just trying to protect both of them by doing the match this way. So I kind of understand why they're trying to
I
do it.
actually think when they do this match, and I would love if they do this, it doesn't last 60 minutes and it just ends. And the contract signing was literally for nothing, but it makes it like when you do things for nothing, but you make a spectacle out of them, eventually you can
It's not-
build an ambiguous way of doing things where like maybe what you're showing isn't going to be the way it ends. If it literally goes 60 minutes and has to go to judges, I don't want to see that.
Again, I think it's just mostly to deal with Dustin and to kind of propel it. I think that they're just the way
Dustin?
it comes across to me is they don't
Yeah.
want Cody to look like $1 million and Jericho not because he's the current champion.
You mean it
But-
has to do with Cody?
Yeah, but I also don't think like I don't think Cody's ever gonna. For me, Cody never really looks like $1 million in the ring. He's
I mean,
good and he's serviceable. He's like the Roman. He's better than Roman Reigns because I like him more as a character, and he's got much more versatility as a character. But in ring, he's.
I think they're
Okay.
trying to like put a lot of layers on this one story more than anything, and I think that's kind of muddling everything. Where it should just be very black and white, very simple booking. But then they're adding, Dustin, and they're adding like all these other people and Jack Hager. Like it just feels like it's too much going on.
You have literally, I'm gonna say, 2 months of booking in 2 weeks. Like you could have done Cody Rhodes just still like, oh, he's getting, he's hurt, he's basically on my mind all the time. I can't focus on anything else. And then you have a match, and then you have him hurt Dustin, and you have another match. It just seems like too much is happening all at once.
Yeah.
Here's my question: why did they have to do a 60-man match or 60-minute match?
It doesn't
Why
make
couldn't they
sense.
just do like a 2 out of 3 falls?
I think they should have just done a 30-minute time limit, and then it
Yeah,
goes to
not
judges.
60. Yeah.
Because nobody in this world's thinking Jericho's wrestling for 60 minutes.
God, no.
And if he does,
I'm not saying he can't. If he does, he's going to be like
if they
fucking
do,
dead on the ground afterwards.
it's going to
It's gonna take a lot of cocaine.
It's going to be 50 minutes of rest holds.
But I also don't want to see these two go for 60 minutes. I don't want to see either
I
of
mean,
them go.
I'm not gonna
20.
I'm not gonna cut it short. It could end up being amazing because these guys have surprised me before in the past. So
Unless there's
You know
a
what?
ton
I'm
of-
not gonna sell them short.
I'll never
unless-
say never because the Cody Rhodes versus Goldust thing was good. It also wasn't 60
Hey,
minutes. But
Cardinal, hi.
What if, but is like the only thing I can see prolonging this match to maybe draw it out would be all the interference.
Well, then why are the judges there?
But
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
kinda
why else
kills
would you
the
be
idea of the
involving all
match.
these other people and muddling it with like
But then
Dustin?
is it
why
no
have to-
DQ?
No.
I don't even know.
Why do they have the judges then? That don't make any sense.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not gonna judge until I see it.
The
And then
match
I'll
shouldn't go
judge
any more than
afterwards.
25 minutes. That's all I'm gonna fucking say. If it goes the full 60 minutes, I don't want to see it. I do not want to fucking see it.
If
I
they
don't
go
wanna-
full 60
I didn't
minutes, I
like
want
it
Jericho to
when I
leave after
didn't-
this.
I didn't like it when Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart went 60 minutes. What makes you think
I
I'm gonna-
don't expect it to go 60 minutes. I think a lot of the contract signing was just to kind of make people believe something will happen. Something else will go on, and these guys will wrestle again. I'm okay with it because I'm okay with people putting a red herring out in wrestling. It rarely happens now. If you're a WWE faithful, as soon as they make a rule, it's like, well, now I know what they're gonna do. So I'd rather them not go down that path. But making
I
a rule and not
do-
getting to it, I'd be
Now,
okay with.
That being said, I think it will end in a DQ.
That's
I don't
my
think
point.
so. I don't think so.
It
They're
should.
putting way too much into this match. Like
They
I don't
put-
think it's
we'll see.
it's gonna end
well-
with it's gonna end with Cody taking the title.
I hope not.
I'm worried
You
that
know
they're going
why?
to pull the trigger on MJF too soon.
Do you know
Mhm.
why it's gonna end with Cody taking the title?
Why?
Because
Gina?
Chris Jericho's band is going back on the road pretty soon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in my honest opinion, this is the only person I think they could put the title on and still stay afloat with. But at the same time, it's dangerous to do that now. Jericho
Yeah.
is so fucking over. You take the title off
Yeah.
of him, you hurt he's got shirts selling constantly. You
And
take the
even-
title off him, what do you do?
Even with
Well-
his time in WWE, though, they were on tour and he would fly back that morning to go do a show and then go
Well,
back on tour.
The thing is, let's say Cody wins the title. Where do they go from there? Because literally, if Cody wins the title, they need to flip him completely.
Jack
heel.
Hager. That's where they
God,
go.
God,
I
no.
do not want to see Jake Hager.
I don't want to see it
No.
either.
The,
But
the
that's
only
they're building up to.
storyline if Cody wins the title is MJF. That's the only
No,
storyline.
but like I think they're gonna have to turn Cody full heel because the only other people that are ready to go after that title, aside from Chris Jericho, are members of the Elite. Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page. Pac isn't part of.
You take
the
Chris
Elite,
Jericho
but-
away, you lose 300,000 people watching that. In my honest
No, I'm
opinion.
not saying take him away completely. I'm not saying that. But if Cody wins, they're gonna have to turn him heel because he's gonna have to eventually go up against Kenny Omega or fucking Hangman Page, and they're members of the Elite, so they're gonna have no choice but to turn him on the Elite.
So I want to get to the finish of the tag team title match.
Okay.
The finish itself, the way it ended. I'm talking about the match. I'm not the show.
Well, the
I-
match kind of ended the show.
With as good as these two teams were, you end the match on a roll up.
I hated it. I straight up hated it.
Hated it.
Hated it fully
I mean,
on.
I was okay with it, I guess, because they went in the ring, so it's not like they just like got in the ring and did a roll up right away.
No,
I know, but,
No, but it's just-
you end a tournament with a roll up. It's not a great
It's
look.
worse.
It's-
I don't know,
It's worse in King of the Ring.
Oh God, I
Yeah,
wouldn't go there.
I just
I
think
would
they
not
should've
go
had-
there.
I like the in-ring wrestling was never worse than King of the Ring was whatever it
I'm
was.
not
No, but the
saying-
finish.
I'm talking.
You
about
know,
the
if it
finish.
happened in King of the Ring where it ended in a roll up, people would be like, "What the fuck?" So
Well, to
I
me,
kind of
it's
feel
just-
that with this.
They should have just had a clear cut winner. You have all these weeks of build up for it to end like that. It just felt like so anticlimactic. It was like, oh look, it's over.
And it just
Yay.
added to the fact that the tag team titles started on the floor.
I was very disappointed in that. Like I
Yeah.
literally was going, what the fuck out loud
Agreed.
because it just
Well,
didn't make sense to me.
as soon as the announcers said, well, if this match doesn't end by the time that TV taping or by the time TV time is over, then we'll let you know on social media. As soon as they said that, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, but you
Like,
can
I'm
tell them
done,
to go
because-
home and still have a good finish.
I just feel, it'd be, the thing is, this is 100% on them as a company.
Yep.
If you do not know how to time your shit, that at this point, what other TV show will people be like, well, they're learning? That doesn't exist
No.
out there.
No,
It really doesn't.
I don't give them anything for this. Like again, you have refs, you have earpieces, you know how long you have. You tell them to go home. You don't do it a roll up. There's other ways you can finish that match in a minute.
Not with it being the first ever tag team champions. That's where I have a problem.
This show really softballed the tag team championships, and it's sad because I know they have probably the best tag team division out there,
Mhm.
and to be represented like this is just.
I know it sounds weird, but wouldn't you? I would have rather them actually do this in the middle of the show so that they had enough time to breathe and to like finish it properly,
Agree.
and
My
maybe
question is,
finish
why
with
didn't they
Kenny
do
Omega.
I would have done this at Full Gear, end the tag team tournament at Full Gear, and give a prestige to the belts.
Mhm.
Everything seems to be happening like every fucking week I watch this. Everything is being defended, and I don't know what the fuck is happening because the women's title's been defended already.
Yeah.
For some reason, the tag team titles just got, but they're going to be defended against LAX.
What is
I don't know,
everybody else? Go ahead.
I just think it sucks because the majority of the show was pretty strong, but the pacing of where they booked certain things just didn't make sense to me.
So I
The
like.
contract signing too, like the positioning in the show just didn't make sense to me.
Well, I was okay with that. I like the fact that they kind of did it in the middle to keep things interesting because they had the people involved that could promote it properly, and they're building towards it, and they still want to. They want to start and end on matches for the most part. I thought this I think the pacing of the show, outside of the fact that they ran out of time, that's on them. But the way that they made the show, where it was match, vignette, broken up with a segment, match, or whatever, was better than what I've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to me, like if they would have done, the tag team match towards the, end, like the middle of the show, and then they end with the whole thing with the belts being presented, and then the attack. Like to me, I think that would have.
I think the belts have to be presented right after the tag team match, though.
I agree.
Because they just won it, and you won the tag teams. We'll show them.
No, but I mean,
in
like
an
they
hour.
have they have a presentation of, okay, we're gonna have them come out and do like a big presentation, and here's one of the best tag teams, quote unquote, to give you the belts, and I just don't think it should have gone on.
Okay, I feel like the presentation should have followed the tag team, and like it just seems like things get sacrificed in AEW for a reason I cannot understand. Certain the understanding of certain segments get sacrificed, and I don't really understand why. Certain things they do exceptionally well, but there's certain things where you look at them and it's like, this was the easiest thing to fix. Why can't you just spend a minute and put it there?
Right. Ronnie, Bobbitt, Trek, I'm sorry we're talking a lot. You guys can chime in at any time. What did you guys think of the finish of the match?
I too, with the timing, I think that was the main issue.
Right.
Altogether. I mean, the match itself I didn't think was bad, but it was just, like Gina said, as soon as I heard that too, I thought, well, then what they're going to do is they'll probably put this on AEW Dark Tuesday night to show the finale leading into whatever dark match they had afterwards. But then, of course, it ended, and then just like, that was it.
Yep.
And then, of course, you saw the stuff on Twitter the next day where they had their pictures done, and I guess the presentation of the belts or whatever for Scorpio Sky and Kazarian.
Right.
And then Christopher Daniels' comments about it.
Right.
But the only thing I wanted to say with the Cody thing, what I'm thinking may lead to is eventually Dustin and Cody, if Cody does win this belt, that it could lead to something with Dustin facing Cody. Because, I mean, we really don't know. I mean, it does show that he was injured with his hand all bandaged up and stuff like that. And I know he's getting ready to promote whatever movie he's done. But how they've been portraying the brotherly love and Dustin being at his side and Cody doing all the lovey-dovey family stuff now, I could see Dustin possibly joining Inner Circle.
Would you not take that opportunity to make Cody heel in that situation?
I don't think Cody's turning heel. I think MJF is going to turn on Cody. I don't see Cody. Because they're going to miss an opportunity with MJF. Sorry.
I think if Dustin is brought back for anything, it's going to be 6 months down the road. And they'll be at whatever their version of WrestleMania is. And that's the match that we'll probably see, because we already know that we expect. I didn't have much expectations, but the match blew me out of the water. So I assume it would do the same again, especially with one of them a champion. But I don't know. Like I look at like you're going. What other promotion is going to get leeway for not having enough time? Because I watched Lucha Underground, that was just starting, and they never had that problem.
But see, to me, like, I'm not just giving them a pass to be like, oh, well, like, I'm not happy, but I'm intrigued to see how they are going to adjust and how they're going to change. Because if I keep seeing the same thing over and over again, like, you can only handle so much, as JP said, right? Like, there's got to be a breaking point.
In my opinion, what I would classify as a botched introduction to the tag team titles is a bad look.
But then it's to see, they knew that they messed up really bad last week. They know that they rushed the finish. So it's like, how are they going to adjust and how are they going to make it right this week?
Well,
and
the
if
other
they don't
thing is,
make it right.
I think NXT's learned on that too, because now you're noticing they're going anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes over, which is now allotting for any overage for the NXT shows. So what's to say? Because TBS used to do that all the time. They'd give an extra 5 to 8 minutes.
I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know how long them letting them go over 8 minutes, because I don't know. They might start. There's nothing that's on Wednesdays anyway on USA, so that's why they're allowed to. It's just reruns, so they're allowed to go that extra.
They
50
probably,
minutes.
but they probably already know that they can. I like WWE can actually, for the most part, book a product that starts and ends, and they know when it ends.
Right.
Well, and if you noticed it this week, this was the first week they did it. They re-aired the NXT right behind the 8 to 10 show.
So there you go. That's why they can do it. Speaking of NXT, thank you, Ronnie. But really, the only thing that, and there's probably more, that intrigued me was that we're now getting War Games, and there's going to be 2 matches for War Games, one of them being a women's match. And it'll be
Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler.
Rhea Ripley and
Sorry.
Shayna Baszler are team captains.
Here's my question though, like team captains, are they actually
Yes.
going to be in the match?
Yes.
I assume so because they're both wrestlers. Hulk Hogan
Sorry.
and fucking.
Sorry,
No, I
guys,
know,
I gotta
I
hop
know
off.
that, but
it could be you.
no,
could-
I know that, but like the only reason why I asked that was because they're both gonna be probably on
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series the
They
next
will.
day. So I thought maybe they were gonna make them team captains and have them be like outside of
I feel like
the
they-
ring, if that makes sense.
Guys,
they have like
I have to
entries.
hop off.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Bye.
Night, Dory.
Have a good night. Don't they have
Night.
like entries into into War Games where like it starts with 1-on-1 and then
Yeah, they're locked in
they'll
cages.
probably
at the
be like
beginning.
the last people that come in or whatever.
Yeah,
Probably.
they'll protect them. And 2, you got to remember, I don't know how they're going to do this. This is why I said it's probably going to be Raw and SmackDown versus NXT.
I don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a triple
Yeah,
threat Survivor series.
according to
Fuck
Triple H,
fest.
it was Raw, SmackDown, or Raw versus SmackDown
Well,
versus
he
NXT.
he said Raw and
Yeah,
SmackDown.
but regardless of what
No,
he said, though,
he
like
said
why
Raw,
are Raw and SmackDown on the same side?
Bring your best. Like that's kind of open ended. Like could it be Raw and SmackDown or
Either
Raw or
way-
SmackDown?
Either way.
Why would Raw and SmackDown be on the same team?
That's
They just
true.
did a
don't
draft
know.
to separate themselves.
That's the way they. I don't know. That's
I can almost guarantee. I would say with 80% chance it's going to be the
you're
first
probably
Survivor
right.
Series with 3 teams.
You're probably right, but what I'm saying is the way that they were. Tom Phillips said it. It will be Raw and SmackDown versus NXT. That's the way he said it.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's Tom Phillips. He also said he wants to face fuck people.
I understand that. But I'm just saying that's the way I took it. So I took it as, oh, maybe they're going to do this. And I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I said they might do that.
It's possible. It's possible they can go any way with it. I don't like the problem is like it would
I think
make
it makes much
sense if they
sense
did it
having your
before
quote unquote.
NXT
Sorry, Basement. Go ahead.
before NXT got a live show. It would have made more sense to do it
Well, and I
than
don't
now.
think
But then again, maybe it's like them being like, "You're the new dog. We gotta fuck you
well,
together."
and I don't think, even though I don't look as like SmackDown and Raw being the main roster anymore, I still don't see them taking 2 quote unquote main roster shows and putting them up against NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got a lot to say about that actually eventually, but still,
Mm.
But the men's match will be the Undisputed Era, which this will be the 3rd year in a row that they're in the fucking match.
I'm gonna go on record. I hate this idea.
I do too.
I think that they're going to lose this year.
They have
Okay.
like with this idea, they have now made me look at them more as actual WWE instead of a separate entity.
Mhm.
Because actual WWE does the women's and the men's of everything. I would have preferred if it was just a woman's fucking War Games match and no men took place in a War Games match.
I agree.
It would have been much more passable.
I agree.
And it would have made it look better for Adam Cole because he's going to be pulling double duty with
Well, so
Survivor
is Shayna
Series.
Baszler.
Well,
But I don't want to
Baszler,
see
so is
like
Rhea
I've already
Ripley.
seen 2 men's War Games. This is the time really to just do the women's and have the men have singles or tags or triple threats or whatever.
But
It's just the right time for it.
But here's the thing that I don't want Survivor Series to turn into. You're looking at a bunch of triple threat matches.
Yes, that is what it's
I
going to
do
be.
not want to fucking see that.
Especially with
See, one of my
5
favorite
teams.
matches is Triple Threat, but I
hate
do
'em.
see where you're coming from.
I
I don't want to
hate
see
them.
them never-endingly.
Well, that's
It's,
if it's going to
yeah.
be Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, this is exactly
I
what
hope
you're
the
gonna
only
get.
Triple Threat match is the Survivor Series main match with NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. And then you're obviously going to have the women's NXT Raw. Okay, so well, you know what? I'm just going to go take a shit.
Just saying. That's why they'd be
That's-
smart to combine Raw and SmackDown.
Exactly.
Just for this one time, Raw and SmackDown just say like, okay, we need to show these motherfuckers who we are.
And instead of
And
making it
NXT is
I
waging
could
war
see-
on both of them.
Well, I could definitely see, like, let's say they do like the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. I could definitely see it being like maybe 3 from SmackDown, 2 from Raw, or whatever, and then NXT.
You see, I could see them sitting there if they do that, making it actually and changing it up to 6 persons. So you got 3 from Raw,
Yeah.
3 from SmackDown versus 6 from NXT.
Yeah, but then you're kind of wearing NXT thin. I don't think it's going to be title versus title versus. I don't want to see fucking 10 fucking triple threat matches. I just don't want to fucking see it. I don't.
Well, you know damn well it's going to at least be Shayna Baszler versus Bailey because she attacked Bailey on Friday.
Well, it's going to be Shayna Baszler versus Bailey versus fucking Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
And do you think Shayna Baszler is beating Becky Lynch? No. I don't see them doing it.
I don't know.
I
But
I'm going to say this, though, with NXT, and then we'll move on to Impact here. One thing I will say about NXT is they need to take their bumps throughout this thing, because if they do not, they will not. They'll just bury them, essentially. They won't win a match.
agreed.
That's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. I like what they did last night on SmackDown.
Oh wait, you're already at SmackDown? What the fuck?
No, he's supposed to go Impact, but
I'm gonna go.
No, I
Impact,
thought it was
and then we'll come back
NXT.
to-
What the fuck
We'll go to Impact. We'll come back to SmackDown because I know Ronnie's itching to get her notes in.
Yeah, my 3 weeks worth of notes.
Oh shit!
Oh god.
Just kidding.
I'm just kidding. But we'll talk about SmackDown here in a minute, and I enjoyed the show. Like I said at the top of the show, it's one of the best SmackDowns I think I've ever seen.
Yep.
Just the way it was
I
done.
got things to say,
yeah.
Yep.
as Alex would say.
The
while
only
he's
thing
jerking
that
off in
came
your
out of
bushes.
NXT too is Dakota Kai got injured, her knee again.
She got hurt again. Well,
Yep.
maybe that's
Really?
why. That's
Really?
why Rhea Ripley and Tegan Knox were together.
Is it the same
Yeah.
knee?
Is it the same knee or is it the other knee?
It's the same knee.
It's
I think it's the one in the brace.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you guys know if it's legit?
I
Like, or
don't
is it
know.
just like a sprain or something?
I don't know. I didn't know she got hurt.
Man, I feel bad for her because fuck.
Yep, she just came back.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to SmackDown. We'll end the show with SmackDown.
All
But
right.
I'm
sounds good.
gonna pass it over to Ronnie for Impact. Go ahead, Ronnie. The floor is yours.
Impact me.
Yes.
I hate this fucking program. I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, and I vowed never to watch another fucking wrestling match from them again. It was garbage.
You know, I'm not an Impact fan, but I do like to hear somebody that knows more about Impact than I do. So
I didn't mind Bound for Glory.
I didn't see it, and
I didn't mind it at all.
Oh my god, it was trash. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with that. I mean, 2 nights later, they did their debut on Access. And the one thing I was trying to find and I couldn't find, because they're also still streaming through Twitch. I wanted to see what their ratings were for that night, but I couldn't find anything. And I don't know how they would do that, especially with the Twitch as well still being done on the show. But you pretty much got everything from Bound for Glory. They just pretty much recapped on the show. You ended up getting Sami Callihan, Brian Cage again, but this time it was in a steel cage match.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know how I feel
Brian
about
Cage
Sami
walked out of
Callihan.
Bound for Glory, but Tuesday night he lost it to Sami Callihan.
So, Ronnie, do you think if Brian Cage was to enter WWE, would he have to take a drug test?
Oh, Oh, I mean, it's a given, but the issue with him is
Would he pass the drug test?
Probably
Is
not.
what maybe is what I should have said.
But the problem with him is, and I think this is why they did it the way they did, he has had since April. So it was April, May,
He was
June.
injured for a long
July.
time.
He has had these reoccurring injuries, and he's been working through them. And the back injury that he sustained with Johnny Impact, where he landed on that outside, that has been a chronic injury. And
That
I
was
think he's
wicked.
getting that. I think he's getting that taken care of. Plus, he just got married in July, and they haven't been on honeymoon yet.
I feel like he needs like the guy. I don't know. I just feel like he needs like to be a bit more natural looking, because he literally looks like a bodybuilder that does wrestling, and those two things are impossible. Eventually, your body gets used to wrestling and the hits it takes, and it needs to cushion itself in some way, shape, or being. And his does not have that. He looks like he's eating fetuses in the corner.
But he kind of looks like that bulked up SpongeBob looking character.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Mike Elgin's another one.
Yep.
Well, he's
But,
just
but Mike
Elgin's like more natural, just strong man.
No, he's prone to injuries.
He's really
too.
bulked up. He's real, like, up in the shoulder area.
Well, he's prone to injury for sure, because he's like his body is not like equally proportioned.
Well, he was prone to injury when he was in ROH and New Japan already. Like he had that. Mike Elgin. But I think it was a forearm injury or something that he
I've always
kept
liked
on
him.
getting re-injured.
I like both these guys actually. I like Mike Elgin. I think Brian Cage, if he could, I don't know. I feel like he could be very successful depending on where he goes. If he kind of like changed, he has to change his look a little bit. He can't be this fucking Wolverine monster muscles.
Right, Ronnie. I don't know if you're going to know anything about any news about this or not, but has there been anything with Killer Cross and Impact? Like, are they planning on letting him go, or?
No.
From what I have seen, they're still with the contract negotiation, and there has been nothing definite. Because I looked him up, and I, of course, was it Scarlett Bordeaux?
Well, Scarlett Bordeaux, they released her.
Right. So I know she left, and she's signed with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that I have seen through his Twitter or through any interviews they've done, it's just always been just status. It's like in limbo with status, because they were looking to possibly do Killer Cross and Brian Cage at some point. But of course, now with him losing the belt to Sami Callihan, and at the end of that match, we got Tessa Blanchard that came out.
Well, like the only reason I ask is because I know that Killer Cross asked for his release, and that his plans are WWE. Apparently, like WWE wants him really bad.
So Sami Callihan won, and Tessa Blanchard came out.
Yeah, they have a feud going. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, they
had a ladder match.
Well, they had she was in that at the Bound for Glory. She was in the match with the X Division, which I thought that's the way they were going. They were going to have her win that X Division championship, and then whoever won that gauntlet match, because after Jungle Girl now, so she's got a title with them. She had the title that she lost to Valkyrie, and then this week Valkyrie lost to Jordan Grace. For that
No,
match.
I prefer Jordiana. It sounds so majestic.
So I mean, they're going with storylines off of the show, off of Bound for Glory, leading up to their next pay-per-view, which is Hard to Kill. But
sounds about right for Impact.
I mean, pretty much everything that it was, like I said, 2 days off of Bound for Glory. You had Ken Shamrock that was giving the big announcement. Unfortunately, it looks like he's staying with Impact to feud with Joey Ryan, because that's supposed to be a big match next week.
Oh,
but he says he's happy with being with Impact. He's like 55
years old or something. So where is he really going to go?
Yeah, he's not going.
Right, I mean, he's not going to go back to MMA, but it's just to stick him with Joey Ryan. That
Well,
just
but you know
is
what though? Ken Shamrock himself tweeted out saying that he was having the fucking time of his life. He
right,
said
and
that
that's where I said, I mean, if he's loving life and this is what he wants to do, I mean, more power to him. I mean, you can't.
It's the end. It's the end of his cycle in terms of like wrestling. So like,
I-
why not give back or have fun while you're doing something?
I think
and
that's
not
all
give a
he
shit?
wanted was just to be able to go out there and have fun. And
Then
that's
again, fuck
basically-
Joey Ryan. That's all I'm gonna say.
Joey Ryan's a piece of shit.
Oh God,
Not a
Johnny,
fan.
why
Not a
did
fan.
you say the name?
He is entertaining. When I first saw him, he was entertaining in Lucha Underground, and then I realized he did dick wrestling, and I was like, okay, that could be fun. And then I watched it, and I was like,
Okay, this isn't
just
fun.
not what I expected.
What did you expect when you heard dick wrestling?
You don't even want to know. Thought it was like Thumb of War but with dicks.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Joey Ryan.
Yeah,
it
and
is
it
what
just-
it is.
Great
dating
Shamrock
back
now,
to my
fuck off.
notes,
I
I
agree
mean, the
with
last thing I have, Gina, is back in September,
Mhm.
just with the issues with Impact and Killer Cross, but there's been nothing since then that I have found since that September 10th.
Killer Cross.
Well, like I keep up with Cross on Twitter, and I know that he has said recently, and he's actually volunteered to release text messages that he has gotten from Impact, because no, he hasn't released them. I should specify that, but he said that he's willing to, if it comes down to that, because the whole thing with Impact was he wasn't being paid right.
No, I
And
thought
it
it was
was-
that
it was-
they weren't
it-
giving him an ambulance before
Well,
he
that
wrestled.
too.
Well, that too was part
That
of
too.
it. But yeah.
He wasn't getting his paychecks on time. They wanted him to cut, and he refused to cut without an ambulance there, which is his right to do so.
Ambulance.
Shut up.
An ambulance.
Shut up.
An ambulance.
Shut up.
So
So
yeah, he
like,
hasn't wrestled since July 7th.
no, he's been wrestling.
Yeah, he wrestles
Not
in
Impact.
Not in
Nice.
Impact.
Not
No,
in
he's
Impact,
he's
no.
been wrestling like small promotions, but
He's been wrestling with Impact in his mind.
But yeah, like he's volunteered to be like, hey, I'll release these text messages and all this stuff that Impact has sent him, because they're fucking him over big time. They're fucking him over. They're not letting him out of his contract, even though they are the ones that violated the contract.
I feel like I don't know. I'll never know the full story, and I also don't give a shit about any of it. But at the same time, if it is what it is, and what he's saying is true, then he is definitely getting fucked.
Well,
but I have
the
no
only
idea.
reason why I'm more partial to believe him is because I know what they did with the Hardy Boys. And yes, I realized that was a different owner at that time, but it was still
No, it was
TNA
the
/
same, it was the same
Impact.
owner. It was the same guy.
Was it? I
Yeah.
thought it was Jeff Jarrett at that time.
No, fuck no, Jeff Jarrett. He didn't own. He owned Global Force Wrestling.
Oh, okay. Why was I thinking? Never mind.
And then he came back and he became a
Lesbian.
not so much a silent owner, but he was kind of like a silent partner. There you go. He's
Okay,
a partner.
gotcha.
And what happened with that is Ed Nordstrom is the one that you're talking about, and he still runs Anthem Sports, which owns Impact. They at the time, and now they don't. They had exclusive rights to that, and that's what that whole the whole.
But I mean, you might
judge-
shit on
that's why
Impact
the
for
Broken
doing
gimmick
that.
And the Woken gimmick was not released because
Right.
it was on their show that,
Mhm.
and that was his argument. Well, it was on our show. We let him do this, so we have rights to it. Well, now Matt Hardy and Reby Hardy and Jeff Hardy. Well, probably Matt Hardy now owns that gimmick. So if he goes somewhere else, he can use it.
If you want to shit on Impact for doing that, then shit on every other entertainment fucking conglomerate because they all do the exact same thing. The fact that they were like, well, okay, so it was lucrative for us. Well, fuck, they want to leave us and go somewhere else. It's not going to be lucrative for you. We'll still sell T-shirts about it. Fuck it.
No, I understand that, but not giving people their paychecks is what I was
Yeah,
referring
well,
to.
that was always a bad thing.
Yeah, and that's always been a thing with Impact as well.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I feel like who wants to work for these people out there?
Speaking-
You may or may not get your paycheck. Sign on the dotted line.
Speaking of promotions in trouble, Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Ring
if
of
I'd
Honor's
rather
in
see Ring of
big
Honor
trouble.
live than Impact.
I think Ring of Honor's on its last legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Well, they were playing fuckery, and they lost their fucking deal that they had with New Japan.
one of the things I like about it's gonna sound really bad. One of the things I like about like these companies like falling apart is that there's a lot of talent that they have that is going to be dispersed. So you're gonna see an influx of talent elsewhere. I never really watched Ring of Honor, so
Yeah, but
it's
like,
more
where's like the Briscoes? Where are they gonna end up?
AEW.
I would think NWA.
I mean, maybe
Briscoes.
Briscoes.
They'll end
Like,
up on
maybe-
NWA Power. I guarantee
You
it.
think so?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm thinking of doing.
They're
style is perfect for that platform.
there's a couple of
Okay.
people on that. Their style fits NWA. If they don't go to NWA, it's a failure on their part.
Well-
this is one of the things I like. Like when a company does fall apart and eventually it happens, whatever, you still have like everything else that was part of it infuse itself into other companies that still are there, and it adds like entertainment. I personally do not give a shit if ROH goes under because
Yeah.
the talent that I care about, I'm going to see elsewhere.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we know that chances are Marty Scurll's probably going to AEW.
I think he's going to NWA.
He might go to NWA.
Marty Scurll?
Yep.
I saw his picture in one of their fucking things. So
Okay, but anyways,
Not
regardless,
only that,
okay, so
the first episode,
That was mentioned that
Villain
Villain
Enterprises was there.
Enterprises is there.
that's odd. Okay, so
she
Jonathan
skips over
Gresham.
it. Go ahead, Gina. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I acknowledge what you guys are saying, but Jonathan Gresham, you guys think he's like more AEW? Because I don't really see him in WWE just because he's not like he's really, really good.
He'd be good
Don't
in
get me
NXT.
wrong.
Be good in
So
NXT.
this is the thing I love about not watching certain promotions. It keeps like the mystery alive for me. If I don't know who a character is and I see them debut, then I can look back on them or I can see what they're showing me. So like not watching Impact or not watching ROH kind of like helps me in that respect.
Right. Yep.
I don't want to know who everybody is before they show
I mean,
up.
other than just, like I said, it was just everything off of Bound for Glory. They had a street fight with Ace Austin and Eddie Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then Murafuji fought again. And just coming off of the Bound for Glory for their first show, I mean, it had a little bit of everything in it, whether they continue doing these types of matches and going with the storylines that they're building towards that Hard to Kill. Like I said, next week right now, the only thing I've seen promoted is the Ken Shamrock versus Joey Ryan, and then Callahan's having some kind of championship celebration. That's all they've promoted so far.
I will say if you told me like a year ago or even before that ROH would probably die before Impact, I'd be like, nah, what?
Well,
but still.
I mean, Impact is now what we would now call ECW. They're trying to be hardcore.
Right. Because, I mean, you're going to get, like,
It's a niche
Eddie
market.
Edwards won the gauntlet match, so, of course, he's challenging for the Sami Callahan's title. But then you're throwing Tessa Blanchard in that now because she came out.
But she should.
So-
I'm sorry.
She should be nowhere near that
She should
title.
be nowhere near that title. And that's me. That's just.
Sami Callahan hit a guy with a fucking bat
That was Eddie
with
Edwards.
the face.
Yeah.
So
Well, and he even went after her, too, with the bat. So, and, of course, she went after him with the bat. And that was how they pretty much ended it.
I feel like they're barking up the wrong tree to stay alive
They are.
when they go with intergender matches, in my honest opinion.
I I'm not a fan of theirs.
Lucha Underground didn't succeed with it, and they very seldomly showcased it.
Yeah.
Right, and Rosemary, she's pretty much still the undead trying to recruit, and I think with her, I mean, if she can get out of whenever her contract is, to
March
put her
3rd,
with Allie again,
She
but
has. I'm sorry.
she's pretty much got the women's division, which she can pretty much run and rule the way she wants.
Right.
She could be the ring general. They need.
March
Yeah.
3rd, she has on her Twitter, and Courtney Rush, it's 03/03/2020. I think that's when her contract.
That's one of those. Okay.
That's an assumption, though. And I'm sorry, she needs to go to AEW straight away because
Yeah.
Allie is there, and Allie needs her like ASAP.
Please, God, put Jordan Grace on AEW.
Yes, that I can.
Nyla Rose needs her.
Yes.
But they also need like a ring general. They actually need someone to like defect from WWE. Unfortunately.
And I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't.
see that. I would like if it happened, just for the fact of I'd like to watch more wrestling than just one company.
No, I get it. I get you. I just don't see anybody leaving WWE. Not the women anyway.
And besides, if Rosemary's contract is up in March, she could be the ring general that AEW needs.
Yeah, she's pretty good. She's pretty good wrestler.
But you know what? It's also like time. Like ring generals aren't born overnight, but if you keep putting somebody in a position to become one, they will become one eventually.
Right.
Well, that was the big thing when they signed Britt. It was like she was going to be.
Oh my God.
She is terrible.
And
No,
she is. I mean,
no,
she's
no.
bad.
We cannot talk about her. The
Dr.
park is
Dinosaur.
closed. The park is
Dr.
closed. Okay?
Dinosaur is in the office.
But yeah,
They do travel in herds.
I
No.
swear that would have been funny if she was one of those dinosaur costumes for Christmas.
She
Or
doesn't
for
need the
Halloween.
costume, man. Just paint her body and walk out there.
So, is there anything else?
You want
Ronnie?
your teeth done? Rue is saying, what if ROH and Impact merge as one?
I
still
don't
wouldn't
think
save
that
them.
that's gonna happen. If anything, I would see more like ROH merging with either NWA or AEW.
I think about half
And
the talent goes
if
to
that's the
WWE.
case, ROH is no longer going to be the controlling company. It's basically just going to be the roster merging onto.
Well, I think ROH
pretty
half their talent, their roster goes to probably WWE, and the other half is separated into NWA and AEW.
I
I
can
agree.
see that.
So
We'll see,
ROH
though.
has always been a breeding ground for WWE talent. Like they've always stole from them.
Well, look at Adam Cole.
Well, I mean, some of them might go to New Japan because I know like Jonathan
That's
Gresham,
true.
he really liked the New Japan wrestling style.
It's true.
I have no idea who he is, but
You've
He's
never heard of
really
Octopus?
small.
it's okay. I'm never going to understand until I see him.
Keep
Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Okay.
No, Basement. If you would see him, you would know him because I know for a fact that we've watched New Japan match together that he was in.
God, I hate him already.
That
No,
being said,
like I prefer to like not want to see it yet. Sorry, JP, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, is there anything else, Ronnie?
Nope, that was pretty much
Okay.
Bound for Glory and TV.
And we'll continue because Ronnie watches that show. I've watched enough wrestling as this. So
I do not watch Impact. I made it a fact that I will never watch it. But anybody that does and enjoys it, it's good to hear from you, Ronnie. I like your input, and you're telling me about wrestlers I know, but I don't know what they're doing now, which is cool.
there we go. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is a good elephant actually this week.
Jumbo.
Last week's SmackDown just made me want to fucking kill myself. This week's SmackDown makes me want to fucking do it again.
You know why I'm so frustrated about this week's SmackDown?
Go ahead.
Because they can do it,
Yeah, I know.
and they don't do it.
Well, let's.
But also, I
Before-
think a lot of people are
before
like
we go
sucking this dick.
any further, I'm going to make this perfectly clear. Vince wrote this show.
A lot of people are
Vince
sucking
Vince
this.
and Vince alone.
Vince.
A lot of people
up-
are sucking this dick. Is all I'm going to say with
Vince
this SmackDown.
approved everything that happened in the show.
He did not only did he approve it, he was the sole writer of the script for this entire show. So all of you people out there that are saying Vince McMahon needs to retire, put your foot in your mouth fucking now, because he is the one person, when it comes down to it, that can actually pull off a show like this.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's the one person.
He did. He wrote
but
the show.
he is the
now,
person that
I
did
will
it,
say
so.
this, because Bobbitt did say this to me last night. Triple H strategized it. Vince wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things I actually don't like about this show, but I'll tell you about them later.
And not only that, but like, he wrote it in the time that it took them to fly home from Saudi Arabia. Literally less than a day's time, he wrote that script for that show.
I enjoyed the shit out of the show.
Me too.
I'm going to say this, and I know I hate Slender Man with all of my fucking being that I have. And if you don't know who Slender Man is, it's Jessamine Duke. He looks like Gollum and fucking
Slender Man had a baby.
Slender Man had a baby.
And it was named Slender Man.
And it was named Slender Man. But I'm okay with what happened because but it would have made more sense if she had them with her. Because what if the women's because they didn't show Bianca Belair in the back, which I almost fucking lost my shit today over a fucking tweet. What was it yesterday? Yeah, I'm not even gonna say names.
Was
but
it something about fucking race and bullshit like that?
Yeah.
Was it race and bullshit like that?
Yeah, and I was like, when he said something about, I liked it when Bianca Belair was beaten on the blonde-haired, blue-eyed fucking.
Oh yeah,
And I almost fucking went back at this motherfucker, and because I know who he is.
Anybody that puts out tweets like that,
he is
reverse your tweet and see if it's acceptable.
Yeah.
Now,
and then
that
shut
being
the fuck
said,
up.
the person that put that out is a prominent YouTuber.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, all I'm saying is, as soon as you look at your tweet and if you reverse it, is it racist? Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but then I almost put back, but
it's racist as it starts. But
she's
whatever.
a hood rat. I almost put that. I almost responded with that, and I thought better of it. I just unfollowed the motherfucker.
Yeah. JP, you really need to stay off of Twitter. You're gonna give yourself a fucking heart attack.
I was actually you're gonna aneurysm yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna have heart attack.
No, I actually, when I do that, I sit there and I laugh because Heather's seen me. I mean, I do. There are times where it's like, but a lot of the times I'm sitting there responding as calm as fuck.
See, I don't even respond because there's I figure like if somebody has this opinion, they're not going to change it.
No,
I'm just going to say this is my opinion, and they're going to be like, "Well, you fucking bitch," or just say like some bullshit. And it's like,
that is correct.
Okay, well, that's essentially what's going to happen. I can predict it. But like, with SmackDown, okay, so what did we start with?
Well,
I think we should go through this show. This is a show we should actually go through.
Okay, so I don't remember every little bits and pieces, every little thing that happened. Like, my major points were Shayna, Matt Riddle, and Keith Lee, and Adam Cole.
Okay, so fuck, I just watched
the show. Started off. The show started off with Bayley and Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross challenging Bayley for the title.
Did it start off with that?
No, it didn't start off with that. It started off with Brock.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Brock came out and he quit Raw or quit SmackDown.
Okay. So here's I already have a problem.
Already
have a problem.
I know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
How in the you literally are a week away from the fucking brand split almost, and you just quit Raw to fight a midget. You quit SmackDown to fight a midget on Raw.
Because he wants to beat the shit out of fucking Rey Mysterio.
Well, and not only that, but they were backed into a corner. They had no choice. Both titles were on the same show.
But here's the thing that like I don't even need to mention it because they weren't. They backed themselves into a corner.
Exactly. They double backed themselves into a corner.
So this just proves to me that they appease the fans with the fucking
Bray Wyatt.
win for Bray Wyatt. They pulled the trigger before they even had a storyline in place and realized, oh fuck, we've got 2 titles on one thing. Okay, so all of a sudden they kind of there's a plan in place. They had it known probably a month or 2 ago that they wanted to do this, but it's so stupid and it's so bland for me. It's like, do I want to see Brock Lesnar leave SmackDown to fight Rey Mysterio on Raw?
And I was gonna say too, they had to have almost had this plan for a little while because the storyline with Rey has been going for a while.
So they did have I will say they probably had a plan for about a month or month and a half, but at the same time, I feel like this was the decision they went with as soon as the negative press came out about Hell in a Cell.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then they had to make a change. As soon as they decided that they were going to put the title on Bray Wyatt, they had to say that this was where they were going, because they never really need to go anywhere after this.
Mm-hmm.
With the Raymond, they could have just dropped it because they've done this before multiple times with storylines. But now we're looking at Raw, which I think is the worst fucking wrestling product on TV, going to feature Rey Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar. Really?
I am very skeptical that Brock is. They're just going to appease Brock, and he's still going to be on SmackDown.
Well,
I honestly think he is moving to Raw.
No, I honestly think that Vince or Stephanie or somebody is going to come out and say, you know what? No, you are legally contracted to SmackDown, and this is what we're going to do. And they're going to have some sort of a match to where either the Universal title or the WWE title switches hands to Raw, and it is not going to be Brock Lesnar or Bray Wyatt going with it.
I could see them doing something in that realm, and I could see, like, because I honestly think, and we all thought this, like, the reason Fox they wanted Brock Lesnar on there, but to move him to Raw for a match, and I think that, like, I need to see what happens after Survivor Series. I think everything this is what I fucking hate. I said this exact same thing, saying I need to see what happens after the brand split. Literally, what? How far are we? A month? 2 months later? I need to see what happens at Survivor Series. You already had the brand split. What do I have to? Like, that was one frustrating thing to me. I felt like it was a cop-out, and I know they're trying to make a match happen. But if you already start shuffling people around, the brand split's dead. As soon as you start shuffling people around, you made this big hoopla about killing off the fucking wild card. Only to bring it back immediately.
Yeah.
Well, and wasn't he the number 1 draft pick to SmackDown?
No.
None of the titles were. The draft was fucking stupid.
No. But here's the question: was he actually announced as drafted to SmackDown?
Yes, he was, but he's not number 1.
But he's like, I think he was
like 10th or 11th.
He was like the second round or something like that.
And does that make sense? Anybody?
No.
No, the draft made no sense. What's following makes no sense.
The champion should not have been.
The champion is the number 1 draft pick.
But the
you
champion
either choose Seth Rollins.
But the champion is the champion. The champion should not be drafted. The champion should be solidified to that.
So you do one or the other. You allow everybody to be drafted, or you say the people that are holding champions aren't allowed to be drafted. They are where they are.
Well, and like I said, they could have fixed all of this if they would have, like, okay, I didn't want to see Bray in this match to begin with, but if this is what they were going to do, and they would have just fucking pulled the trigger at Hell in a Cell, then we wouldn't be having this problem.
Well,
the problem is still going to exist because no matter what happens with Bray Wyatt, you still end up to the place that only a fucking creature coming from Mars can beat him.
No, what I'm saying is we wouldn't be having this problem with 2 titles on the same show, because if Bray would have gotten drafted to SmackDown, then Brock would have been drafted to Raw.
So I feel like to fix everything seems so fucking confusing and stupid because they decided to do a draft at the most inopportune time, and then just literally everybody stick their dicks in their ass. We'll see where we end up afterwards. And this is where we ended up. We've got 2 main championships on SmackDown. And they start this being like, well, Brock really wants to beat up on midgets, so he's going to Raw for a little bit. That was literally the reasoning he got attacked at fucking crown jewel. So now he's literally saying, "Fuck it, SmackDown. I'm leaving to Raw." So if he can make that change, what does the brand split mean?
Nothing. It
If
don't mean
any
anything.
wrestler can come out and say, "Well, I guess I'm going somewhere else."
No, he quit. And what they should make him do, and what I think is going to happen, or what I would do.
So how does the champion quit?
Okay, fine. You want to go to fucking Raw? Drop the title. Relinquish
Yep.
the belt.
If he keeps the championship, I will literally lose my shit. Because Dolph Ziggler left and he left the title in the ring. Everybody should do that shit.
I'm just gonna interject here and tell everybody Power Struggle is now live. So
the fuck is that?
Oh my god, you guys, New Japan Power Struggle.
Oh.
Well, about something I won't be watching.
Happy extra hour, everybody. Woo!
Yeah, extra hour. Back to 1 o'clock.
But
Not
anyway,
an extra hour for me yet.
But anyway. So yeah, I do agree, and he needs to relinquish that belt if he is going. That's what I told Heather yesterday. I said if he is going to Raw, they need to make him relinquish that belt.
So
I honestly,
I wasn't a fan of the intro to SmackDown.
This is another reason why the Fiend should not have, Bray Wyatt should not have won the title, because now they're stuck in a quandary. Who's going to be the main champion on Raw? That's the thing. And if they're going to take the WWE title over to fucking Raw,
which is what I think they're going to do.
Just don't fit.
That's what's going to happen.
It's not. I don't think it is.
Well, what the fuck? I literally cannot think of a booking way to get out of this. No matter what they do, it's not going to make sense. So
let's
do another draft.
Well,
remember future consideration.
There is this, and it was said on Twitter, and it makes sense to me. Bray Wyatt's going to have to drop the title because he is a drafted, signed. Because if you listen to Paul Heyman's promo, Bray Wyatt was drafted to SmackDown.
You remember how he was dead, and then people were like, all the people that are basically brain dead. I'm sorry, like I mean, if you liked it, you liked it. I'm not saying brain dead. If you liked it, you liked it. Okay. All the people that loved him winning the championship and didn't think about everything else beforehand, and then he gets stripped. You're gonna make half those people literally hate the product. The other half be like, I see what you're doing. And everybody else that was the half beforehand being like, okay, this is the fucking worst shit I've ever seen.
All right. Go ahead, Gina. What were you going to say?
I don't remember.
Okay. But, so, if...
I didn't like the beginning, is all I'm going to say.
I agree with you. I didn't like it either. I didn't like... I
didn't like the outcome because it didn't make sense.
But then you see... And I was sitting there, and then you see Brock and Paul Heyman leaving, and then you've got fucking Triple H and Shawn Michaels peeking their heads out.
Don't go that way. It's this way.
So I'm like, oh, they're gonna act, because you've been hearing it. You heard the fucking rumblings. They're gonna do an NXT.
I honestly, this is the other thing I didn't like. I wish they didn't promote that before they made it happen.
True.
And it was Mauro Ranallo who's out there and said, looks like NXT to the rescue.
Well, no, when they did it.
But you know why they did it? Because they used the promotion of it later to accelerate the storyline. So, though I don't like it, they used it in the right way later. So, whatever.
Agreed. But that was kind of a funny little moment. Shawn Michaels had a funny little segment.
Oh, but Shawn Michaels is fucking hilarious. He's cold in here, bitch. That was later, though. That wasn't the same. This wasn't the same.
We'll get to that in a minute. So the next thing that happens, we come back. I think we came back from commercial break.
Yes.
And Bayley is taking on Nikki Cross, because Nikki Cross won that gauntlet match or whatever the fuck it was. And so the match ends. This is about a 10-minute match, I think, something like that, somewhere in there. And the match ends. And people are saying, well, she beat up on 3 people. No, she really didn't beat up on anybody except for Bayley. She pushed Sasha into the ring post.
Which takes Nikki out of the ring.
She pushed Nikki out. She didn't really do anything to her. because she'd already been destroyed by Bailey. Bailey beat her, even though Sasha interfered. And then she destroyed Bailey in the middle of the ring. So I knew right then and there, yeah, they're gonna do this whole NXT is invading W or SmackDown. They're gonna have to do it at Raw. They're gonna have to do both Raw and SmackDown are gonna have to invade NXT at some point.
No,
This
Sorry,
is why
go
I'm
ahead.
kind of glad they did it now because they have the time to build that up because Survivor
Right.
Series is not until November 22nd.
No, and I understand.
So they're actually giving this time.
But it's gonna have to happen at some point.
Yes.
No, don't get me wrong. This is kind of like I thoroughly enjoyed SmackDown. It's the first time I can say that in a long time. But this is kind of a nitpick for me. Would you have actually preferred these segments in reverse?
Like, what do you mean?
Baszler show up before Triple H?
I mean, yeah.
But you're never going to have Brock Lesnar show up second on a show, but still.
Right. No, because I think they did it because they knew Brock was... This is why I think they're doing Raw and SmackDown versus NXT, because why would Triple H wait until Brock leaves?
Okay, you're actually thinking way too far ahead for WWE.
Sorry.
What you're saying makes sense to me, but they're too stupid.
No,
Well, you gotta
Brock is
remember,
officially on Raw now.
Basement, you gotta
Who is?
remember.
Yep.
It wasn't
Brock.
the original writers that made this. It was Vince who did this.
Yeah, Vince wrote it in like 6 hours or something like that on the plane home.
Just to say he didn't.
So
have
why
this
isn't
plan.
he the only writer? Fuck it. I don't give a shit
That's
if
what
he's
I,
got.
this is what I was saying earlier. Like I said, the problem right now is there's too many fucking writers. There's too many voices.
Right.
And when you get that many voices, everything gets fucked up. Everything gets miscombobulated and just
the thing
turns
is, like,
into shit.
I think literally for like a writing team, you need to have the sponge at the head of it, and then you have to have a certain amount of people feeding that sponge something and discussing. And I feel like that doesn't even happen in WWE. I feel like it's just no, yes.
No, you
dance,
need to
yes.
have no more than a 3 to 5 person crew writing the scripts.
I don't
it.
see why they would ever need any more than that. In all honesty, I really don't understand why. Because most of it is
3 to 5
wrestling.
people.
Not most of it, part of it.
3 to 5 people per show. Because like NXT, I think right now has 3 or 4 writers, and that's it.
They have
And look at how good the product is. I'm sorry?
Well, I'm just gonna say they have 4 producers.
Yeah. So look how good the product is on NXT compared to Raw or SmackDown. I mean, you get so many voices and so many ideas going, and then eventually all of those ideas start blending together, and we get shit like fucking Rusev and Lana and Bobby Lashley.
Well, like I said, you're gonna continue to get Rusev and
Bobby Lashley
and Lana because sex sells, Gina. I hate to say
Oh
it.
no, I know, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, the storyline, like, I get what they're doing with the sex sells, but the storyline behind it is just so fucking stupid.
I mean, actually, it's so stupid that it's
working.
And it is. It is.
It's not working for us.
I
but
think
it's
shit.
working.
I agree with you, Gina. I think
bunch
it's
of
shit.
other people.
I think it's shit.
Yeah.
But it's working. Whatever they're doing, it's working.
What shit? What are you talking about?
Lana Lashley, and Rusev.
But
yeah, it was Temptation Island.
So I don't know what happened after Shayna Baszler invaded. I think McAfee. McAfee came in.
Oh, why did they replace Aiden English?
No.
Okay, hold on. Aiden English got replaced because he called Shayna Baszler the Queen of Hearts. And as soon as he did that, into a commercial and came back from commercial, and Pat McAfee was there.
Well, Pat McAfee was supposed to be there, and I think he was supposed to say that because
I'm sorry?
Oh no,
I think Pat McAfee was supposed to be there, but
no, he was
because he's
actually
in another part of New York
Yeah,
More
because
college
he
game
he
day.
had he had actually tweeted out that he was in like five different states within the past like 2 days or something
Well,
like that.
I will say, like, if he's gonna get replaced for that, then Renee Young's there. You can feel the air and the energy.
I'm going to.
Oh my god, did you guys see her get fucking kicked right
She
in the
did get
face?
kicked in the face, and that was during the tag team match.
I heard her audibly.
Rhea Ripley and Tegan Knox came out.
Yeah.
It was
I heard
supposed
her
to be.
audibly botched at least 3 spots during that whole fucking.
Yeah,
Who did?
Renee Young.
Renee Young.
Oh,
Can you
Renee-
feel the air and the energy?
Renee?
Can you feel it?
Yes, I can. Renee Young actually tweeted out. Gina knows what I'm talking about. Renee Young actually tweeted out, "I'm never doing this again.
Never commentating again.
I'm never doing
Lord.
commentary again." And I said, "Please don't." I was gonna tweet, "Please don't." But I was being nice.
I'm sure you're not the only
No,
one.
Well,
I'm
the,
sure
the
there's a
reason
lot of
why
people.
she said that, the reason why she said that was because she had video of her getting fucking kicked in the
I
face.
understand that she talked about it, but
This the other thing that so it is kind of like hinted at as a full scale invasion, and you have Bianca Belair beating up fucking who was she beating up? Carmella and
Carmella.
fucking.
she was beating up Dana Brooke and Carmella, who were
Aren't they a
supposed to
tag
be tag teaming
Well,
against.
Why
Hold
were they
on.
tag teaming?
Hold on, basement. They were supposed to take on Dana. Or now you got me fucking doing it. They were gonna take on. It was supposed to be a 6-man tag match, I think. But 2 of the superstars couldn't get back in time because I think one was supposed to be Natalya,
Okay.
and it was going to be Carmella and Dana Brooke versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. But Bianca Belair beat the shit out of, and that's where that comment that I was talking about came in. Dana Brooke and Carmella. And Tegan Knox and Rhea Ripley came out and said you don't have an opponent, even though that when they came out, the fucking Kayla Braxton said in their opponents, Rhea Ripley and Tegan Knox, and Rhea Ripley gets on there and goes, "You don't have any opponents?" No, they do. They're you because they just announced it. That was fucked up.
I mean, for the whole show, I like the fact that they introduced a lot of NXT talent and they introduced them the way that they are instead of changing them in any way.
Yep.
And they used them in a respect that they should be used, even though if it's an invasion, it doesn't really matter if you're heel or face, you're just going to attack. But at the same time, it's like Rhea Ripley and Tegan Knox. This is the official, I guess, like face turn for Rhea Ripley for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But then that's where Pat McAfee, well, actually, Aiden English was out there, I think. Oh, I don't even remember. Anyway.
Aiden English was out there first, and then Pat McAfee showed up and what I've heard, it was because the NXT guys just barely showed up to the building right before Baszler got out there. They said they barely got there, and he had to have a police escort to make sure they got there in time.
Okay, I don't care about all that shit. I don't care about all that shit.
Well,
I don't.
Well, that's McAfee was
I don't
there.
even know what he's talking about.
I'm trying to. There's a reason why Pat McAfee showed up. I know that they showed up, and
he
the
literally
whole
just
fucking
showed
thing
up.
you just gave. But
I'm pretty sure Aiden English was just filling time until he showed up.
Right.
Yes, exactly. He was supposed to
it-
be there because he's actually part of NXT.
I understand that. That's not.
Well, you're saying that you don't understand why he's there. That's why
No.
he's there. He's part of NXT.
Let him finish, guys.
What I'm
Well, he
saying
takes
is
forever.
no, because you keep fucking interrupting me. So anyway,
I can't remember when this happened. Why are you interrupting me while I'm thinking?
what I'm saying is, was he there during? They went to commercial break because that match went to a commercial break.
Mm-hmm.
Was Aiden English there during the beginning of the tag team match, or was he there at? Because I wasn't paying attention fucking when he got there.
He disappeared midway. I think it was like the match started and then he disappeared.
Okay.
I thought it
and
was right
he came back
after
to-
I thought it was right after the Shayna Baszler thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's when it was, when Shayna,
Yeah.
when that Yeah, that cut to commercial.
That's what I was trying to get at. Everybody kept interrupting me, and then I had Trek telling me that they had Cletus. I know all that, but it's
They had
Okay.
Cletus. Cletus.
yeah, they did. They had a police escort from the airport. They did a charter flight, I guess. So that's when Renee Young got hit in the face with Sonya Deville's foot.
Yeah.
One of the best moments of
Actually, I
2019.
thought it was Tegan.
I'm not gonna lie.
Tegan Knox.
No, it was Sonya Deville. It was Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley or Tegan Knox. I can't remember which one threw Sonya Deville and got a bloody nose. She said she was complaining about a bloody nose. Like, good, don't talk. But anyway.
I wish she had a broken jaw. No, I don't wish that on her. But like,
No, I don't.
seriously,
But
she is terrible.
She is bad, and she knows it. At least she knows it.
She's working on getting better. I think
Right.
maybe.
That match ends, and then we go to another backstage segment where, or was it Sami Zayn?
This is Sami
Yeah,
Zayn.
it was
I
Sami
think.
Zayn. Sami
Sami
Zayn
Zayn.
started talking, and then Matt Riddle and fucking Keith Lee show up, and they chase fucking Sami Zayn out to the ring and destroy him.
The best part of that segment, like
ahead.
Sami Zayn was stupid for the whole thing, and then he starts running away. He's like, "I find it hard to find shirts in my size."
Yeah, actually, the best part was Keith Lee's face after he got the fucking bro Derek.
That was before. No, I'm talking about before the match. He's running in the back. He's like just walking with him. I find it hard to find shirts in my size.
I will say this about these matches: they didn't look scripted. You know what? It didn't look like ballets. Like the match between the women's tag team match did not look like a ballet. It looked like an actual wrestling fucking match. You know what I mean? They didn't go from spot to spot to spot to finish.
Well, you can tell it's not overproduced in terms of the matchups that they
They had
put
no
on.
time to overproduce.
This-
Everything seemed to like just work when it's more natural.
This is what I loved about SmackDown. Okay, they went back because they were forced. They had to go back to simplicity, and it was simple, direct, and to the point, full of surprises. And this is what we have been missing from Raw and SmackDown. You have no surprises. You have elaborated storylines that nobody really gives a shit about. Bring it back to simplicity.
Okay,
I mean, we've got fucking Lashley fucking tongue diving into Lana's mouth over fucking Rusev, who's just cowering on the ground like a just pre-birth baby. But before you continue, I gotta get a huge shout out to Sir Cardinal bringing up with the your boy Roca and the QC. Those are people from his channel, so I do have to shout them out.
Yep. That's fine. Don't get too excited about what happened Friday night. Just saying that now.
Yep. No, I'm not excited.
Because once this thing with NXT is over, it's just going to go right back to the same fucking shit it was.
I feel like this is the way, though, to build like anticipation for Survivor Series. Even if NXT disappears and goes back to NXT, and Raw goes back to Raw and SmackDown goes back to SmackDown, this is a new, at least it's some sort of invigoration for Survivor Series, because that's been one of the worst pay-per-views of the main four in the last like 10 years, or maybe all of time.
Agreed. I'm not a big fan of Survivor Series. I'm not a fan of the Royal Rumble. SummerSlam or WrestleMania are usually my favorite.
My favorite's WrestleMania, and second to that is Royal Rumble. And I kind of have this weird, like, sexual... No, I just have this weird love for Elimination Chamber, because it means something.
Right. But Matt Riddle and Keith Lee destroy Sami Zayn in the ring. Matt Riddle hits Sami Zayn with the Bro Derek, which I love the fucking name. And I know Ronnie does not like. I don't know why she don't like Matt Riddle. She explained it. I still don't get it. I love the way that they use him. I think he is the epitome of what a character should be, because it's him amped up a little bit. Even though he has that even keel look to him, that's amped up.
Mm-hmm.
Character.
I felt like this match was actually like Vince wrote this, so it's putting Keith Lee on display a bit more.
Right.
They also ended up with Keith Lee's music, so
Yes, they did. Well, he did the last move, I think. Didn't he do like a power?
he did a moonsault off the
Oh
second
yeah,
rope.
that's why he did the moonsault. Then the crowd went apeshit nuts.
Mm-hmm. Keith Lee is for sure home run on the main roster in my mind.
Yep. If they use him right.
Yeah, well.
But let's keep in mind that I think with what happened tonight with this show, I think that NXT has become equal.
Its main brand.
The greatest thing about this show is the
to-
fact
I don't like it when we say, well, they're the bigger brand or the better brand. I don't want NXT to be the better brand. I don't want Raw to be the better brand. I don't want SmackDown to be the better brand. They all need to be put on equal footing.
And that's the thing. SmackDown brought them more to like an equal caliber.
That's exactly.
But the thing is, this SmackDown is an anomaly. I'm going to say right now,
Yes.
the best thing that's come out of the SmackDown is like they looked at like a bad what they were presented was a bunch of people can't come back from Saudi Arabia. We can't put on the show we might have wanted to do. But what they essentially did was make the best out of a bad situation, and they literally showcased NXT, which needs the help from what I hear in ratings on USA, and they got that here tonight.
Holy shit!
What?
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm watching Power
what?
Struggle as we talk, and I'm sorry, but fucking Elephant Tasmo was just walking the ropes with somebody, and he put fucking Rocky Romero on his shoulders at the same time and walked the ropes with him on his shoulders.
Okay.
Fucking incredible. I'm sorry.
His name is Elephant Tasmo?
Elephant Tasmo.
Oh, I'd prefer Elephant.
I'm sorry. I couldn't hold that reaction in.
Next time, mute.
Well,
No.
You know what? Next
Speak up.
time, don't go through every fucking match that we have on the.
I'm
Go
not
through every
going
match.
through every match.
Go through every match, motherfucker. We're almost done.
Kidding.
I've only gone through 2 matches.
Kidding.
Fucking shit.
I've only gone through 2 matches.
We've
It's
been
been
going
at least
for 3 hours.
6.5 hours.
Well, the last thing that I really want to talk about is
I'm kidding.
The last match.
no,
That's
that's fine. So Daniel Bryan, or no, was Shawn Michaels and
Oh,
Triple
that was
H
funny.
were standing there talking or whatever they were doing, and Daniel Bryan comes up and he challenges Triple H to a match. Triple H gets in his face, and the whole fucking time they're sitting there, and Triple H gets that fucking look like, yeah, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass look, and then he fucking goes back home. I don't have my ring gear. I can't wrestle, and which was funny. And then
But Triple H says, I'm not ready to fight. I'm not really in the mood to fight. But
I know somebody who is. And at that time, Shawn Michaels is taking off his jacket.
Fucking great.
For no reason. It's fucking cold.
It's cold in here.
Randomly.
That was great.
Made it
That
so
was-
funny because
That
like
was
he just
great.
he takes it off and then like 2 seconds later he's like, it's cold in here.
And then Daniel Bryan, I think it's Daniel Bryan, looks, and here comes Adam Cole. So
No, Triple H is like, champ! He just yells it out into the air.
Yeah.
Like he's
did he?
conjuring
I
this
didn't
motherfucker
catch
out of
that.
the
I must have
darkness.
had it down. But then he comes over and he says, "But I have somebody who will." And he said, "Adam Cole." And Daniel Bryan goes, "I will." I think this is how it went. Essentially, what happened is Daniel Bryan says, "I challenge you for that," and which made that. This is where they made that title legit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the
So-
title was already legit, but like it
Right.
added to it on
Well, you
For
add
the
to it
spectrum of the
Daniel
main
Bryan
audience.
challenging for it because I'm not a huge fan of Daniel Bryan. I like Daniel Bryan, but I'm not gonna sit here and talk him up like he's the greatest thing since Wonder Bread. He's good, but having him challenge Adam Cole, and he's one of the top stars in WWE. He's one of the top stars in wrestling. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. I'll admit that. To putting him that title made it main roster level title,
Mhm.
which
Oh,
again,
this is the way I look at the SmackDown. Like, and it's unfortunate that it took what it took to happen.
Mhm.
It was literally a commercial for NXT, and that the fact that it was a commercial for NXT was this good. Just it frustrates me the fact that they can do this.
yes, I know.
And you've got 2.5 million people watching, from what I understand.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You can do this. You can actually make a good product, not
Right?
Well, even what happened on Miz TV was good.
yeah. Tommaso Ciampa comes out there. You know,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
forgot about
Ciampa
that was
is-
actually solid.
See?
That was solid.
Yeah, Ciampa is like fucking amazing, and him stepping to the Miz like that was basically another way of NXT saying, "Hey, guess what? We're no longer developmental. We are your
was a
equal,
little
and we can
bit- I
kick
was
your
a little
ass."
bit concerned after that match because Ciampa is sitting there fucking
Rubbing his knee.
I was a little
Mhm.
concerned that he hurt himself.
When he hit that knee off the top rope, I was too. But then he stood up and started smiling, so hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
So
it was the showcase of NXT, and it was the best SmackDown that I can think about in
Yeah.
the last
It's the best
multiple
SmackDown
years.
that I have probably seen in at least last, I'm gonna say 5 years at least.
I can go back further.
Yeah.
Now I will say it like my
I do.
I
when
would
get
love to
the match,
hear
though.
what somebody thought that never
Yeah.
watched NXT.
The Adam Cole.
Oh, okay. No, 'cause what I want to bring up.
Well,
after that.
Basement, I will talk to my uncle, and I will get back to you on that.
Yeah, I'd love to see what somebody that doesn't watch NXT thought about this SmackDown
So
because it was so NXT heavy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they kind of did, and there's a reason for it. Remember when I said way back when that WWE has something in their pocket? If AEW doesn't, if AEW wants to play hard to get, they
Mhm.
just played their card, big time.
I feel like it was like the fact of the matter is that shit has to go wrong for you to do right.
I get it. I get
What
it.
is happening
the thing
here?
the thing is, again, I go back to what I said before with the simplicity and the surprises, and the shows have become so complacent
Mhm.
that that's what people hate. They hate not being on the edge of their seat. And then you get a show like last night where you were literally on the edge of your seat pretty much all night because you had no idea what was going to happen.
Well,
And that's the type of shit that we miss.
Well, once they showed Triple H and Shawn Michaels, I knew it was going to happen.
You knew it was
surprise
going to
was
happen,
gone.
but you were still excited about who was going to be there.
I
There were
did-
surprises.
I did pop for Keith. I didn't expect Keith Lee and Matt Riddle to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yes,
about the only
so there
thing.
was-
I did expect Adam Cole because I said it to Heather before
Yeah.
anything happened. I guarantee it. When Daniel Bryan came out and he said, "I want to fight you" or whatever, I said they're gonna do Adam Cole here. I knew Adam Cole was coming. I knew.
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
coming.
there were some of them that were pretty predictable, but even still, it was still a huge surprise with a lot of them, and even the ones that were predictable, it was good to see them because it was something out of the normal.
Right.
So
Shayna
originally,
Baszler.
what I thought was they showcased everybody at once, so they kind of eliminated the element of surprise on like Royal Rumble or something like that. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, you know what? They're actually like basically establishing themselves as main roster,
Right.
and
Well, and-
I'm okay with them doing this way.
Well, and from now on at Royal Rumble, if there is a new participant, there's probably going to be some from NXT, but I think the big pops and the big surprises are going to be ones that they bring in from outside the company. Like, I mean, if they can get this shit, I'm hoping they can get this shit with Killer Cross done by Royal Rumble, because I would love to see him come out at Royal Rumble.
Right. So to get to the match, I'm sorry, I want to get to the match. It was a pretty good match. They let him go for like almost a half hour, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, this was like an NXT SmackDown.
Yep.
Yep.
It was a good match. Of course, any match that you put Daniel Bryan in, it's going to be a good match, especially if you let him go. If you don't choreograph him to go from spot to spot to spot to spot to spot to finish, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole, as usual, one of the best performers WWE has. He showed it tonight. And I will say this, for all of you fucking people that sit there and say, well, the jobbers are going to go back down to fucking Full Sail.
I've only seen one person saying that.
If you seriously fucking think for one fucking second that these guys can't wrestle with the Roman Reigns or the Seth Rollinses, go ask Seth Rollins if fucking Adam Cole can wrestle. Go ask Seth Rollins if fucking
Like Adam Cole is
Matt
taller
Riddle
than
can
Daniel
wrestle.
Bryan. I didn't even
I
think
guarantee fucking goddamn motherfucking you, Seth Rollins would tell you, I would love to have a match with them. In fact, he has wrestled fucking Adam Cole before.
And you know what? This is. There was an interview. I can't remember what it was on, but a little while ago, they asked Triple H flat out, if you could wrestle anyone in the world again, who would be your top three? And two of his top three were Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. He said because Johnny Gargano reminds him
do most of the work.
No, he said Johnny Gargano reminds him a lot of like a young Shawn Michaels, and he said Tommaso Ciampa reminds him of a young himself. He reminds him of a young Triple H. Okay, so when you have the leader of the company putting that much faith in these guys that those are his dream matches, come on.
Exactly. Is that it you want to bring up about the match?
Well, I just wanted to get everybody's thoughts on the match. If you were to give it a star rating, where would you put it at?
Oh.
It was good. It was a really solid match. I give it a. It's hard to like differentiate the feelings I have about SmackDown being infiltrated by NXT. It was definitely a 3.5.
See, I would go higher.
Maybe even 4. But I think like the influence of what's happening makes it be more than what's happening. This is why fuck you, Meltzer.
Exactly.
No, and I would probably go like a 4, maybe even a 4.5, just because everybody was bitching about a clean finish. I loved the fact that there was a clean finish.
I wasn't complaining about it. I was surprised that they beat Daniel Bryan.
Oh no, I was by everybody.
This is
talking about you guys. I was talking about Twitter, but
build.
Yeah,
this
I loved
100% Survivor Series build, and then you see, how much do you want to bet? And Gina, let's make a bet.
What bet?
No pickle juice.
Last time I bet anything.
A shot of like legit hot sauce.
I can't. I have acid reflux.
Well, so do I. Fuck it.
Trying to kill me.
Yes, I will kill you because you can bait.
Oh wait, what is the bet? First of all, because
who wants to be on this bet? Who want to be on this bet? Come on, guys.
I'm probably on the same side as you. If you would tell me what the bet is.
Gonna be.
Oh, okay. So, well, fuck. I can't tell you that. Like, we're gonna both accept the same thing. Otherwise, what I was gonna say is, after Survivor Series, NXT will not be talked about.
No.
On the main roster.
Nope.
No, not on the main. Well, NXT is main roster right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be mentioned
on Raw or SmackDown.
This is why I can't make bets with you. No. Asshole. You're supposed to be surprised.
Oh, I'm surprised that you tried to trick me into hot sauce.
I will give the match a 3.5 to a 4.
I landed around a 4 for it, or 3.5 or something like that.
I would go like a 4 just because of that clean finish.
It was an NXT showcase, and I'm pretty sure no matter what Vince McMahon wrote, this was a whole show produced by NXT. all the people that produced fucking Crown Jewel didn't come back.
Well, you know
So
what
they
the
got
thing.
the people that produced NXT to produce
No.
SmackDown.
They had a couple of the producers from the actual SmackDown that were there, but
how do you know?
There was because they had pictures of them on Twitter, and the reason why they had
They have
pictures of them on
pictures
Twitter.
of the producers on
listen,
Twitter.
If you would just shut up for a second and let me talk.
Well, no, I have to ask questions when you ask questions to me.
No, that's true. No, the reason why they had pictures of this guy on Twitter was because he was actually doing double duty because all of their fucking people were in Saudi Arabia. So like the people that set up the ring were in Saudi Arabia. So this producer was working double time, putting the stickers and shit on the side of the ring posts.
That was Charles Robinson.
How will they ever
setting up the
replace
ring.
people that can put up a ring?
He's a producer too, and he also a former ref, I believe, right, Jeff? Or JP?
No, he is a ref. It's Charles Robinson.
Okay, yeah. Well, they said he's also a producer.
Yes.
Okay, so
Well,
yeah,
nice.
but he was out there setting up the ring and stuff, and that's not his normal job. So they were all putting in extra effort because that's just how many people they were losing.
Like
they were missing.
This seems like an NXT run show with the guys of SmackDown.
Yeah,
And the fact that it works so well, I hope to God triggers somebody to say, maybe we should change things because fucking hell.
Well, did you see Alexa Bliss's tweet?
Twit? I saw her twit. I'm
Did you
all
see her tweet?
God damn, her twit's nice.
About halfway through SmackDown, she tweets out and she goes, "Yeah, we get it."
Well, then fucking make a change. This is what kills me. Like, all the wrestlers stand behind this bullshit. Yeah, we get it. We know what you're saying. And then you literally go out there and fucking prance around for 10 seconds, end the match, and you go through the same rigmarole time and time again. Fucking... There's obviously a market for this. And you know it exists. And you decide to be like, yeah, but being lazy is a little bit better.
I mean, personally, I think that I understand the invasion for the Survivor Series angle, but I think that they should do mini invasions throughout the entire year on all of the shows, if that makes sense.
No.
Just because of the element of surprise. Because like I said, that's what made everybody love the show last night was the element of surprise.
I know, but like
it wasn't just the element of surprise. It was the all-out unpredictability of what was going to happen.
Exactly, and that's what we're missing on Raw and SmackDown right now.
And NXT has it,
yeah.
So they know how to do it. This is the thing that kills me with WWE. They know how to do it, and as soon as this SmackDown aired and it became profitable, they know that what they can do can be profitable. So why not just fucking do it, man? If I have to see the next SmackDown being a bunch of guys just fucking eating each other's assholes, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it's going to be.
But, Ronnie, Trek, Bobbit, what about you guys?
Do you like assholes?
I'm going 10 because it was Adam Cole.
Oh my god.
It's only a 5-star
baby.
rating.
Well,
10 out of 5 stars.
Ryan,
10 out of 5.
Adam Cole. Now I give it a 4.5
Jesus.
out of 5. I mean, it was a good match. I mean, you've never seen them before, so that was a new element. And then
I thought that was the overall SmackDown review.
And, I mean, because when are we ever going to see that again?
Mm-hmm.
What's your overall SmackDown review?
I give it a.
Not you.
For me, I mean, I enjoyed the whole show. I mean, for me, I'd say it was a 7.8 out of 10.
Hey, JP.
Fucking baby,
Fuck you,
you asshole.
douchebag.
Well, what the fuck? I don't know. I can't even see you. I don't know where you are. You're like a disembodied ghost.
Not you.
6 out of 10.
Oh god. Oh god,
Alright.
I'd go higher than that. I'm gonna go like a 7.5 or an 8. I really fucking enjoyed that show.
For as good as this show was, I can't. I'm not giving it that. I didn't give NXT a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10 just because, like, if I have to give it any more, it's gonna be lost in the shuffle of like, I can't believe these people are showing up.
I mean, I could go 7, but 6 out of 10 is fair.
I'd love to see a 10 out of 10 from JP.
You're never gonna get it.
Yeah. Shrek,
Yeah.
Bobbit, what about you guys?
I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was really good. I like what they did.
I like what you did with that.
Bobbit,
Well,
you've been
thank you.
typing in the
Oh.
chat all night. How about you actually speak up here?
I'll give it an 8.
Before we,
Guys, I'm
what's
sorry,
up?
Heather.
Go
I was
ahead,
just
Tina.
gonna say. I was just gonna say. Trek put a couple of things in the chat while we've been live. First of all, Brock is officially a Raw superstar, and second,
That's
JP.
stupid.
they have it set up. Reportedly, rumor has it they have it set up that WWE NXT UK superstars are going to invade 205 Live next week.
That's still
Well,
Just saying.
okay.
about other is this like we just listened to the main news and this is like the news after 7.
Right?
In other news, somebody walked into a country.
Now, given that we have all just given our ratings, I reserved mine for a reason. I have this question to see how well you guys actually paid attention to the ending.
Everything.
Oh, geez.
Yes. This is regarding Tommaso Ciampa. Anybody see how he behaved at the end of the show while Triple H was cutting that promo?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he was a little
He was
sneaky
eyeballing
fucker.
Adam Cole the whole fucking time.
He's Goldie.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
means, oh God,
Oh yeah.
oh God, that means that he's gonna attack Adam Cole and cost them the Survivor Series match.
Oh yeah.
I just saw he was pawing all over Shayna.
Oh yeah.
NXT can't win every match here.
No, NXT's gonna lose
Really
almost every match. I'm gonna say it's actually gonna be like a 3-3-3 when they go to Survivor Series. Because it only makes sense. Off of what they did right now with SmackDown, they promoted NXT pretty heavily. If you leave Survivor Series with NXT losing everything, who's gonna watch NXT?
Right.
Of the casuals.
I don't think they're gonna lose everything. I just don't think they should win everything.
As
No,
JP
they
stated
definitely should.
earlier, NXT needs to take its bumps somewhere along the line,
Yeah.
either in this
They're gonna take them to the
invasion
champion.
or
The main match is where they're gonna take them.
right.
But also, suck my dick.
Yeah, I
Aw.
think we need to call this the end here because
Do we?
it's almost 4 hours that we've been live.
Uh-huh.
But time went back, so it's 3 hours.
Time has not gone back for me yet.
Where are you?
I don't think YouTube.
Are you in,
Time,
like,
well,
fucking
time doesn't go back until 2
Australia or
a.m.
something?
Time doesn't
Yeah.
go back until 2 a.m. It's only
Yeah.
1:48.
Time doesn't go back for me at all.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He's in-
Where are
he lives-
you?
He lives in Arizona where there is no such thing as daylight savings.
I don't think there should be
Because
daylight savings.
Arizona sucks.
Arizona, you must have like really good lungs.
Pretty much.
All right, with
It's
that
like-
being said, anybody
Sour.
have anything else they would like to add for the end of the show here?
Yeah, New Japan Power Struggle's live right now, and it's really fucking good. Go watch it.
Don't
Bye.
watch it. I mean,
Yeah. I gotta go to fucking bed.
I gotta get something to eat.
I'm gonna join you in bed.
No,
JP, I
I
thought you had to go
mean-
get your
Bob
mom.
it. Yeah, you gotta
What?
get your mom, man. She broke her hip. Fuck sakes.
Yeah, I gotta
Wait.
get my mom from the airport.
Mhm.
3 hours ago.
I'll pick her up. I'll break the other hip.
3 hours ago.
Hey.
Oh, basically.
Just don't listen to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about
He's
everything I
sleep
said.
deprived.
Oh,
Everything's
so,
wrong.
With that being said, thank you to our new subscribers. I hope you enjoyed the time that you have had on this show, and we hope to see you back again.
Next week.
Yes, Yes, next week. We will be live next on JP's channel for AEW on Wednesday, so keep your eyes out for that. Actually, no, sorry, Tuesday, Sideline Study first.
Rawr. We still have to do Batman. I don't know
12-hour
what the fuck to
stream,
do.
baby.
Batman.
I'm available tomorrow if you want.
Creepy Batman.
With that being said, have a
So-
good night, folks.
Have you ever seen a bat's dick?
12-hour stream, boys. Let's do it.
We
Hashtag
just kind of did it. I feel like.
We're already like third of the way fucking through.